Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 10th of September, 2023. I'm your host, Dan Train. Join me today, Zachary Burgess.
In a room that's still hot, but with one less person in.
And Robert Kemp.
Man, that's a bunch of time in September.
God damn it.
Just saying.
Stealth summer.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of hot, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like the hottest day of the year, wasn't it, yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Officially?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was a bad time to be out.
Were you running?
No. Oh, God,
Okay.
God, no.
I wanted to check.
I would have sacked that off harder than... Although apparently they were running like Coastal 10. Yes, I say
That
apparently.
probably helps.
Coastal 10 in Felixstowe was running yesterday morning, and it's like, oh, God, that would have been the absolute worst. I'm so glad I didn't sign up to that.
The coast. You get a bit of wind.
Yeah, a little bit. It still would have been absolutely...
And it's morning also.
Morning-ish. It's like, you know,
Morning-ish.
it was still a 10-miler. It'd still be like...
Sure. I mean, it was still a lot of running.
Yeah, it would still take me 2 hours. I'm slow. Wow. It would probably take me 3 the way I am right now. I probably wouldn't finish the way I am right now.
It would take you an infinite amount of time to go 10 miles.
Exactly. I've never DNF'd a race yet, but like that would probably do it. It was just atrocious. Just atrocious. Got to that point where my face was so salty that any hint of it like dripped towards my eye, and it's just like, oh, that's painful. It was gross. Fortunately, I was doing something pretty fun. I was at Goodwood Revival,
Oh, nice.
seeing old cars go brum brum.
Man, must have been lucky you weren't inside the old cars. It
Yeah.
must have been
God,
hot.
yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
drivers were like, they were doing that thing that they do with old cars where they hold the door open, like, whilst they were,
Right.
like, having safety car laps. Because it's,
Yeah.
like, because it was getting so hot in those cars. And they're just
Too
like,
bloody
it's just
hot,
like, well,
yeah.
we're not actually racing right now. They just all hold the doors open to cool down a bit.
Yeah. It's not like you have aircon in one of those.
No, they are super lightweight. But, no, it was pretty rad. Naturally,
So
we did
how
the
does
thing.
it actually work? Like, it's a track. Is it like a hill climb type thing? Not
No.
really.
I mean, I think there is a hill climb course in and around Goodwood somewhere.
Right.
But no, this is like there's a full on track that used to be like back in the day. It used to be like one of the like highlights of the F1 circuit. You know, it was
really?
on like ages and ages ago. Like
It's just like pre-Brands Hatch type.
yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's super old and it's still styled like super old. Like it's never really
Right.
been like updated to modern gear or modern. Well, I mean, it's a bit more
Right.
modern, but you know what I mean. It still has that look. You know, we watched
Does
like
it have?
we watched
cambered
like Le Mans.
corners or-
Oh yeah, a few. Yeah. You know, we watched Le Mans '66 recently. It's like
Yeah.
it still looks like that, right? It's
AKA Ford versus Ferrari for
Yes,
our American listeners, which I think is the actual name of the film, right? I presume.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess it would be, that must be the official title, right? And they changed it for
Yeah.
us for some reason. But I definitely prefer Le Mans '66 as the name.
Makes
Ford
more
versus-
sense, but they were going for a
I mean, I don't know if it
American
makes.
market
Yeah, I don't know if it does make more
rivalry.
sense. It makes like
It's a marketing
an equal
thing,
amount of
isn't it?
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure sense really comes into it. Ford versus Ferrari does also work. I just like it less.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was
I
pretty.
mean, I think like maybe the problem with both of those titles is they're just very literal.
Yeah.
Just like either of those.
Yeah.
Well, so
Get
is
them in.
so is Candyman. It's a film about Candyman. Not your boy Candyman.
No,
from
not your
Lethal,
boy.
but
Not your theoretical boy.
it's your boy. This is a podcast about video games.
Good job.
Get that in quickly. No, it was pretty rad. We did we sort of had that like problem, I suppose, where it's like we were only there for one day rather than the full 3-day, and it takes you a bit of time to get the lay of the land if you've not done it before. So we were obviously with Babs in tow. We rocked up a little bit late, missed a race. And it was just like, well, okay, we don't know where anything is, and this place is massive, and you're trying to like figure it out. And
So it's like a
go where.
festival, literally like a music
It
festival.
pretty much
but
is.
for
Yeah, I
motor
mean,
racing.
yeah, kinda. There's like, I mean, if you want to like, because it's revival and it's all sort of like trying to aim for like the 50s and 60s vibe,
Right? Yeah.
Although there's some 1920s stuff there as well. That was kind of cool. That was probably my favorite race of the whole thing. Actually, these 1920s whole clunkers going round. It was great.
Nice.
They weren't very fast, but they did like a Le Mans start, like run to the car kind of thing, and it was
cool.
It was a lot of fun. But yeah, we didn't quite know what we were doing, so it took us a while to actually sort of like figure out how it worked, where we only found a good spot like a long way into the day, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. No, we'll come here to watch stuff. This actually seems quite nice because we didn't have like grandstand tickets because they're obscenely expensive. To be fair, the whole thing is obscenely expensive, but yeah, we do a grandstand would have been nice, especially yesterday. Would have been nice to have some shade. It was friggin' hot and friggin' nuts, but it's well cool. Yeah, I would like to. If we planned it a little better, I'd watch more of the races and watch them well, if you know what I mean. Like get that good spot, get that nice, and just like that's what I want to do for the day more than wandering around and look at.
It's a dumb question, but how does it work if you're sitting spectating on a race? Can you can see which car's which, right? For a start, like you can see the numbers or something, but like, can you actually follow like a race between if two people are trying to overtake each other and it's taking place over multiple laps?
It's pretty difficult to do with your eyes, but there's they've modernized certain parts of it. So racing has been doing this for years, for a very long time now, where there's big screens all over the place. Right. And where we were sat, there were loudspeakers everywhere as well, so you could hear the commentary they were doing. And in fairness to them, the production quality really very good, actually. Like for them, like what they were putting on the screens and how the commentary worked and stuff. It was a pretty slick production going on. On-screen graphics as well with the times of the cars and what's going on. It was pretty well done. Nice. But also, like the thing every circuit I think does is they go a bit low tech. Which makes sense because there was no Wi-Fi or no like internet available, which meant using the Goodwood app next to impossible. But they
that's classic how festivals do that, where they develop a whole app and then no one can use it.
No one can use it.
There's no reception. Or because and they test it like on the grounds and it works fine, and then suddenly when there's 100,000 people there, it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Mysterious. The cell tower's overloaded. Contesting congestion just overloads it or something. It just doesn't function. Yeah. But like, hey, I wasn't even trying like any kind of Wi-Fi. I was just trying to use like 4G or whatever was apparently available, but it was not available, so it was a difficult task. Anyway, they go lo-fi on that stuff anyway. So they broadcast on FM, so you can acquire little one earpiece basically that is hard coded to the channel 87.7 FM Goodwood, and then you can listen to all the commentary as just broadcast over that, so you can actually hear what's going on. They did that at F1 as well. When I was at Silverstone, they had there was just a radio you could tune in, which I should have thought of. I kind of thought the tech would have moved past that point and that it wouldn't be relevant. But like I remember doing that from Silverstone, and I had my Walkman at the time that still had a radio function on it.
Right.
Oh.
So I could have like unearthed that, charged it up, and took it with me, and we'd have had an extra
what model
little
that?
Radio. Oh, it was like one of those flat. There's one similar to the one you've got, Zach. I can't remember what they were called, but like they were like in the MP3 era.
I think my one does have radio.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever used it. Although actually I might have, because like the thing is when you're using the radio receiver on that kind of little Sony, in this case Walkman, it's using the headphone cable as the antenna, isn't it? Like that extends that's how it gets any signal at all.
Interesting.
Or at least I believe that's the case.
Because you could still use any pair of headphones with it.
Yes.
It wasn't limited. But that worked well enough. I used that at Silverstone and it was fine. But yeah, so you're watching the screen still when you're still listening to your show. It's a little bit like being at home, but you're getting all the benefits of being at home and watching the race, like with camera work and stuff like that. But also you get to feel that thunder.
And also if you're
because those cars are loud.
Maybe not in this case where it's a lot of different cars and a lot of different races, but if you're like an F1, you might already know which corner is the one where overtakes happen. So if you planned ahead to buy the right tickets or whatever, you know where to sit.
I mean, I think they, generally were like race courses. I believe they work by like you can get a grounds ticket, which is effectively what we had. We had grounds tickets, so you can find any bank around the circuit. Like just sit behind the fence, you're good. Just pick your spot. But if you want like an actual seat, then you got to pay the big bucks and sit in the actual stands. That's how they get you That's why there's so many people just out in fields at F1 and stuff.
Well, obviously.
It's like, yeah,
And also because it's already full, probably.
yeah. Which is a bit of a shame, actually, because the day we were there, it's like, clearly those grandstand tickets didn't sell. Like, you've got your pricing wrong, methinks, because there were loads of space in them. Which is a bit of a bummer, because it's like, well, everywhere, the grounds, everywhere around the rest of the course, clearly everyone had, like, found their spot and camped out and stuff like that. So, top tip to Goodwood, I think your pricing model sucks. And I think it was evident by the number of people not in the grandstands.
Well, I guess depending on when those tickets were sold, but maybe people didn't want to come when it was this hot.
It's all pre-booked.
Yeah, so, that's what I would have thought.
So you can't do it on the day.
It probably wouldn't have been close enough to even get a weather report that would have made sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess you could have, though, because, like, if the tickets were still available, apparently, you probably could have bought them pretty close.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we knew it was going to be hot, so we didn't even pack any rain gear or anything. I went coatless, not even in the car. Just risked it. But it was fine. But it was a good day. It was a good day, a tiring day. My body can't deal with the day after as well as it used to. My body is no longer ready.
Well, ready beforehand, definitely not ready afterwards.
No.
That's what ready means.
Post-ready.
We're in the post-ready era. Yeah.
I wonder what Reggie would say now if he asked if his body was ready.
I mean, he'd probably just meme it up somehow.
Always going to be ready.
He'd probably talk about an TV shaped like an apple, just because that's the other meme.
Yeah, or whoever he works for at the time, he'd find some way of, like, because he's a pro, right? He'd sell whatever he's working for.
Yeah.
Just looking at the Sony Walkman they sell, and there's one that's £3,300.
What, still? They're still making one?
Yeah. Well, that's their I guess that's their thing, right? Because no one would buy a normal Walkman now because you got a smartphone. So I guess they make a hi-fi one, which is nuts.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But then hi-fi MP3, or I guess it would play FLAC, I suppose.
Yeah, presumably it plays lossless with like the most crazy amplifier, headphone amplifier they can get into a small package, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
What a weird market. Who's buying these things?
Is it or does people just like the Walkman name, I guess? Like, as a sort of
you could get a normal
thing.
Walkman for like 300 quid or even that. Even a lot of money.
Well, yeah. The fact that they still exist is kind of fascinating. Yeah. I'd be more impressed if they were still making like a cassette tape Walkman.
Yeah, that would be cool, like a retro, but it's not a very Sony thing to do. Yeah, but it'd be awesome. I bet there's companies that do make.
Oh, I bet.
Yes, naturally.
Yeah. with the like Walkman bright things. Orange, crappy looking headphones.
Yeah, but with some kind of the most high quality thing they can actually get into that form factor.
The form factor sucked. Like
obviously it sucked.
Going back, if we were to try and wear a pair of those now, that would be the absolute worst.
It's painful after like 5 minutes. I don't know how people.
I mean, I'm not even too keen on wearing earbuds these days for very long. Like maybe my ears have aged.
Your ears are not ready.
My ears are no longer ready. Well, they don't fit properly in my ears either. Like no matter what bud I use or what rubber fitting, they always seem to like slip a little. Like I can't get that right anymore.
I'm pretty happy with my with my AirPods or whatever they're called, AirPod Pros or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with them.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my.
But what I don't do is really listen to music with them anymore because I don't think they're perfect for podcasts, which is what I use, like a nice deep sound for podcasts.
Yeah, and then like the little slippage.
They're not hi-fi.
Yeah, the little slippage out of your ear isn't so bad then, is it? Because it's like
exactly
you just lose so much bass the moment they slip.
Yeah, I don't think it's lack of bass that's the problem for enjoying music with them. It's just they're not. I can just tell they're not. Right. I think my old wired ones that I used to have had better sound quality.
Sure. I guess I haven't done a back-to-back because I've still got, like, basically the Samsung pods are effectively made by AKG, but I think they've retired that brand since they came under Samsung's wing. So I've got a pair of AKG wired and and these buds. Both came with phones that I bought. But they sound pretty good to me. Not great, not like proper over ear quality, but for the form factor, pretty impressive. And I like the fact that presumably the earbuds have this as well, like all the noise cancelling and stuff on the pods are pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not over ear impressive, but not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's good for my purpose, which is like if you turn it off on the tube, it's really noticeable.
Yeah.
It on, whatever.
It just suddenly. Well, there's been times where I hadn't realised I got it on, and then I'll do the hold on the left ear, and it will it will change the mode, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's really quite loud out here.
I mean, I suppose this is obvious, but in the deep level tube is freaking loud, even when you're sat in the station and not even moving. Like, just I don't know.
Oh, really? What like, the stationary train still?
Yeah. It's just I don't know if it's the hum or the air. It's not really they haven't really got air conditioning.
Well, they've got
like
air flow, but yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of actual movement going on in that thing.
It's a noisy environment, that's for sure.
God, imagine using the tube yesterday.
Oh God, yeah,
that is like
do that.
That is probably my least favorite thing in the world. Like,
although
it's pretty high on that list of like things I do not want to do is go on the tube on a hot day.
Though the other day I did use the Elizabeth line aircon. Impressive stuff. Super nice.
So maybe I would have wanted to go on the tube on a hot day just to
the
sit
Elizabeth
on that
line
train.
is like is the one nice train.
Yeah. Just get on that train and just do loops. It's fine.
They have actually started building the new deep level tube trains that will have some form of compromised aircon or something. But anyway, there's photos of them driving around in
right? But then how do they pump
Austria, I think.
But where does the heat
go? Where does it go? That's the big question on the deep level. But I think they've got some kind of system, but it's obviously not.
Do they just go into like some kind of like heat tank, and then it just pumps out whenever they pull into a station? There's like a little hole it pumps into.
I mean, you make it water cooled, and then you could, but that would make the train too heavy. But like, if you could store the heat into like a liquid and then just pump it out while you're stopped,
well, unless
and,
you only need a little
in.
bit of liquid, right? And you literally dump and refill at every station.
Well, yeah. If it was like if it was that little amount, but because you could change it every like 2 minutes or whatever,
yeah. Maybe that would be quite effective.
Well, I found an article explaining it, but it would take too long to absorb and tell you what it is. But they've got some kind of idea of how to do it.
It's like 250 quid, but yesterday I was really thinking about like, maybe I should just buy one of those air conditioning collars.
Collar?
Yeah, they're
like around your neck.
Yeah, they're literally like just.
It's a very gamer thing to get. Yeah. It's not quite hand cooling, but like pretty close.
Yeah, they're literally like a big horseshoe you put around your neck, but it's got like aircon that cools you down. And it's like,
wow.
I think it'd be
for outside use.
You'd be better off just getting it. You don't want an aircon collar for outside use. Jesus Christ. At least keep it inside.
Nah, man.
Cool the area around your head.
Exactly, yeah. Just blow it straight on me, and that's it.
Except, where does that heat go, really? Like
into the already hot environment. I don't care.
Well, like, does it go to like your shoulders? Is it like cooling your head but warming your shoulders? Because like,
oh yeah, where's the eject? I guess it would have to be like just straight out
sideways. Yeah. Blow hot air onto the people adjacent to you. That'd be the worst thing to wear on the tube. Well, I'm cool. Fuck you guys.
Unless the inlet is like from the outlet
back.
Is like the back or something, or
still bad.
Yeah. It was tempting.
I think if you're going
apparently that thing like what is it called? It's called the Kubo. No, not the Kubo. That's the baby monitor. Like the A-Ice or something. I think it's called the something A-Ice.
You're going to buy a small air conditioning thing. Just buy an actual small air conditioning thing that you just put in the room or like against the window, obviously, because that's what you actually want.
Outside, where my biggest problem is.
Don't air condition outside. What are you doing? Just like sound like some kind of American. Where it's just like you have to have air conditioning everywhere you go.
I mean, I think I do. I'm just that person now. I mean, it was so nice just being in the car driving home today. That was lovely. Yes, the UK road infrastructure is a friggin' nightmare these days.
Really?
I guess you guys don't drive long haul all that much, but it's like or like hours of distance. But it's just like, oh my gosh,
it feels way worse than it used to. Even when I was
Really?
doing even when I used to do like 4-hour trips up north, like every other week or so. Like it's
what's going on? Is it like underinvestment and stuff? Is it all broken?
Yeah, it's just always traffic's up to the up to the gills.
So many people.
Yeah.
I guess everything dipped during COVID, and now it's just gone readjusted back to
some extent. It's like, okay, a bunch of the trouble is because they are trying to improve the infrastructure. There's a lot of roadworks, especially on the route if you're going to Goodwood or Southampton or down that way. You're going to hit stuff on the A12, on the M25. If you go the A3, you're buggered. It's all some on the M3 as well at one point. There's just roadworks absolutely everywhere, and in typical English fashion, it's like roadworks that will take like a year to complete or something ridiculous. There's some on the A14 outside Bury that isn't going to be done until like summer next year or something ridiculous. So it's just everywhere you go. It's everywhere you go. So you're just in traffic. Something needs to be done. I don't even drive all that much. I only drive like two, maybe 3 times a week. It's not like I haven't. It's not because of work from home, right? It's like
most of the time, yeah.
Painful. Sort it out. Those that listen to this podcast with some kind of power, sort it out.
So there's a whole article on Wikipedia simply titled "London Underground Cooling."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I don't know how much more it says. It does say that regenerative braking is much better, right? Because then the energy goes back into the battery rather than into the heat. So it's a double win, right? Regenerative braking.
Can't go wrong.
So that's one good thing. Anyway, Goodwood.
Goodwood.
Had a good time.
It would be good at Goodwood were you to go.
Okay, maybe I'll go next time. How's things back at home?
It's like what's the price of a pint in London right now?
I don't even know.
Like a regular ass, boring ass lager.
It's over £5, obviously, so it's like 6.
Yeah, okay, because it was like £7.50 for a pint at Goodwood.
No, it's not. It's not that bad.
Wow, £6-7 in some places. I had for Goodwood's own beer, which was the cheap beer. Only had one of those.
I can actually Google this.
Is there like the price of a pint in London like £5.90? Okay, is that one of those things that's on like the economy index or something like the Big Mac or whatever they call that thing?
I don't know. It probably should be. I'm sure it's more than this.
Where's the price?
I reckon in Central it's definitely over £6.
Jeez.
Yeah,
still like £2 at Wetherspoons.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. We have to be in the right place and go to Wetherspoons. I mean, that is, you can go to Wetherspoons in Central London, and it is cheaper. It's not as cheap as it is in the sticks, but
but then you're in a Wetherspoons.
Exactly, that's the problem.
I mean, beer is beer, but you're in a Wetherspoons. Anything else happening? How you guys been? I've been busy, but what have you been doing?
I had a very near miss last night with creatures in my kitchen.
Creatures?
Well,
creatures?
So our kitchen has a slug problem where basically slugs just come up from, we presume, beneath the cooker because it used to be where the Arga is.
Yeah.
And then, so that's basically, beneath that, it's basically just like solid concrete, but then the floorboards don't perfectly butt up against it, so obviously there's a gap into the underfloor and all that stuff. And when we had it switched to gas, you have got the gas pipes that go through the wall and all that.
Right.
So that's when
presumably a seal somewhere in that path has gone.
Well, I mean, floorboards are never going to be sealed, really.
Well, sure, but the outside of your house should be sealed from the.
No, because the underfloor has to have ventilation. It's got ventilation bricks at the front that you can easily see, although presumably that's too far. Well, it might not be too fast. But anyway, so these slugs occasionally. The weird thing about it is it only ever seems to be like one slug. Like you never see a bunch of slugs. It's just like there's always one. And even if that one specifically, for example, gets stood on during the night, it's like a couple of weeks later, it's just one slug again. It's just like it's back. somehow. It's resurrected.
Oh my God.
It's respawned.
I don't know if I can think of anything more gross. Well, there's plenty of things I can think of that are more gross, but it's still pretty gross standing on a... Well, is there like a general rule now that you know, like everyone is slippered at all times?
Well, it's like... it's like, if depending on how risky I feel it is, it's like, am I going to put on slippers or am I just going to like
turn the light
on before I walk into the room, basically? Because the trouble with the way our kitchen/dining room is like one long room, you can come in immediately and turn on the light, but then the light shines back up the stairs and like people are sleeping and stuff. It's just like, especially when I go down there at like 3 a.m. or whatever, it's just like, maybe I don't want to turn on that light, but then I have to walk all the way across the dining room part of this room to get to the kitchen to reach around the corner and turn that light on.
Need some smart lights.
And there could be a slug already up there.
Need some smart lights.
But then
so you can remotely say like, I'm going to the kitchen.
I guess, yes. But then the worse than the slugs last night, I had a very near miss where I was slipping up, so I wasn't worried about the slugs. So I was going to the walking to the kitchen light to turn that on rather than the first light. And to do that, you like it's like slightly around the corner, basically. So you reach around the corner and flick the light on. And I did that, and then I went and like made a cup of tea and everything. And then when I looked back over to the light switch, just coincidentally,
the slug was on the light switch.
No, there was just a fucking gigantic spider sitting like a couple of inches next to where the light switch was. I think I probably like reached over it when I actually turned that light on. Oh. It was like, well, that was lucky.
I know it's got a bit Spider-Geddon in this house as well. Honestly, it's a bit bad. Also, it's fly season apparently. It's like
even I found a spider in my flat, which is I never have before.
It's not been a very bug year. Like you get more or less bug years. I don't think this one's been particularly bad.
This one's been pretty good, but the last week has just been fly town. At least here. Anyway, there's been loads of flies.
I think my flat is within the altitude level of flies. I think a few stories higher, and it would be safer from flies. But third, it's basically third. But the first story is like double height, so it's really kind of fourth story.
Right, yeah.
But still, you still get flies at this height.
Unfortunate. So they take the lift. They just go to the lift.
Probably. I mean, they probably coincidentally fly to the lift.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Like flies have like an altitude limit? Like
that's what I think they do, right?
Well, presumably
if you have,
or do they just not care?
Floor, you don't get.
Well, I mean, everything has an altitude limit at a certain point, so you can't breathe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's too thin that they can't fly. But
all that, yes, I guess. But I wouldn't have thought that would kick in for the first for building height.
Definitely not. Not unless it's a proper high, real big high rise. But
there's also not naturally much for them to do up there.
No, so they probably don't have the instinct to try. Let's say unless they accidentally catch a lift.
Yeah.
Hitch a ride. Fly taxi. You are a fly taxi. Time for news,
I guess.
Have you not got any more house grouse?
I mean, I could bitch about Alexa if you want me to. I swear that thing's getting worse. It just outright says no more often than I would like. That you go, do this, and it goes. Or the worst bit is where it just doesn't do anything. Actually, like no device responds, and it just you're like, well, what did you try to do? And sometimes you even look through the activity list, and I actually did hear what I said, and it, like some device somewhere picked it up and said, oh yeah, no, I know what to do with that, and then it doesn't do any action. It's like what?
So are any of the smart speaker manufacturers brave enough to connect? The voice to a large language model yet? Because surely they will suddenly get dramatically more useful.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's happened with the not with like Google Home or Google, or Alexa or what's the other one? Apple thing, HomePod.
Yeah. Siri, I guess.
Yes, Siri's home thing.
Cares about Siri.
But Yeah,
surely
I know
coming,
people,
right?
Yeah, I guess. And I know people have tried, like by experimenting through building their own systems through Home Assistant and things like that. Where you can just shout at it and it will figure out what it is. Because Home Assistant has its own like. It doesn't have its own voice recognition model, but it can tap into things and stuff like that. So it's theoretically possible to hook it up to custom stuff. Yeah, I don't know that I'd want that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it depends whether it actually makes it understand you better.
Yeah, there's a bit of me that quite likes the idea of just having. I mean, in a weird way, that's actually been Alexa's like a like good thing, right? That it's because it is quite a simple language model, right? And the language model has to be defined by people who write skills. And so in theory, I guess that means that limits the amount of phrases you can say. But if you know what those phrases are, in theory, it should do exactly what you ask of it, right? So there's a flexibility there. It's easier to write for, and in theory, you can actually code exactly what you want the utterance to be. And if we're looking even further back, that was actually kind of the mantra of Windows Phone, of all things. It was in theory easy for app writers to tap into Windows Phone's voice recognition by just saying, a similar model to what Alexa uses now, which is kind of weird to think about. Another case where Microsoft might have got it done it earlier than anyone else, but it was on a platform no one cared about. Yeah, so anyway, it just, you'll tell it to start playing music. It won't, sometimes. The worst one I had the other day is I couldn't get the BBC. I was playing radio through the BBC, whatever the sounds skill is for Alexa. And this might be more of the fault of the skill than Alexa itself, but you'd go stop, and it would go the doo-doo, because I've got the sound that says, yeah, I understood that, turned on. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't stop. I could not get this fucking radio to stop playing. Oh, right. It's just like, what do I do? How do I make you stop? The Spotify skill or playing music off Spotify is equally bad. Sometimes it just won't. And you'll go to the app even. I'll be like, I'll pull up the Alexa app and be like, oh, okay, no, I want to play music in the kitchen, please. And I'll say, and I'll queue it up and I'll say go, and it'll go, yeah, cool. And then just won't do anything. It's like, it just feels like it's getting constantly worse. I don't know if maybe they're just not investing in that ecosystem at the moment because AI, or they've downsized their teams to keep it all functioning with their partners. Or, as I say, maybe it's not Amazon's fault at all. Maybe it's the skill writers that they just haven't bothered checking in with them or maintaining them or something. Anyway, it's been a bit of a pain in the ass. And I don't think there's anything I can do to fix it, which is the annoying thing.
Maybe there will be a new generation of these things that will.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I feel like it's a bit staid.
Sure, they're not really evolving at the moment. No.
Yeah.
But like I said, that has its benefits and its disadvantages. I think they're probably still considering what would if they were going to have an app ecosystem within these things. It's like, okay, how do you actually define interactions without making them clash and stuff like that? Like, how do you code around that in a Chat GPT era to define intent, I guess?
I wonder if Amazon have actually made money so far in their loss leading get these smart speakers into one's houses by charging nothing for them approach.
I mean, some of them are getting a bit pricey now, though, right? Like if you want, the bigger units, they're more expensive than they have been. But
they definitely sold them at cost because they thought everyone would constantly ordering shopping through their bills.
Yeah, which I've never done.
Right, exactly. So I wonder if that's finally.
I mean, I think there's still a banana on my Amazon, a single banana on my Amazon shopping list because someone asked for it once. Yeah,
I want a banana. Won't be long before Badger's asking for bananas.
And we've just never bothered to take it off the list, so it's just funny. Every now and then. It's funny because I've got one of those. I've got one Echo Show, and it will occasionally just bring up your shopping list, a banana.
At some point, Amazon will ring the doorbell and they'll be like, have a banana.
Yeah, a Prime van just rocks up just to hand me a single banana. I think Amazon works with Morrison's or something to run Amazon Pantry or something.
They do, because they've got actual supermarket shops here in London now, and I think they're actually Morrison's, I think, but they're called Amazon Fresh or whatever.
Oh, I see. Because does the Amazon shop still exist? The one that was super high tech and you just walk in and it knows it's you.
That's it. That's the one. You have to. I haven't done it, but the one opened opposite the office. I might go and check it out. But you do have to sign into it, right, with the app or web when you go in the first time, anyway. But then you can leave. You pick up stuff and leave without.
Yeah. And it goes, oh, I know what you got. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think the food is actually Morrison's, which makes sense because
you got a partner with someone.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess Amazon could do it themselves if they wanted. If they wanted to put the money in to build their own infrastructure, they would probably have.
Yeah.
They would probably get it. But hey, it's a shame because I was kind of interested in Amazon Pantry when it launched because I thought, oh, that would be convenient if that was all just tied up to my Prime account and stuff. And then you realize that they've added 50% to all prices. It's cool. This is not worth it.
Lame.
Back to shopping by hand for me.
I use Ocado, but I guess it's expensive. I don't know.
Yeah,
it must be cheaper here than it is.
We do get deliveries every now and then. We do get deliveries every now and then, but it's I don't know. Something is always not quite right about it, or they'll do a sub that doesn't make sense, and you haven't got the important thing,
right.
Or you've got to get it delivered at some ridiculous time, and then you realize it's but I could have been doing, because you book it in advance, it's but now I need to go do something at that time. It's no, I've got to bail on that. I've got to bail on that thing because I've got a delivery coming.
That's annoying. I would combat that by having them deliver while I'm working, at home, but then I need a meeting. I'm in a meeting or something. Yeah. I can't actually, it does take 5, maybe 10 minutes to actually receive the stuff.
And put it all away if it's cold stuff. And
put it in the fridge, yeah.
I mean, that's never been too much of a problem with the sort of meetings I'm in. I can just go, oh, there's a delivery. Hang on, I'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
But no, normally our delivery window is for the best bang for buck, it's 11 at night or something ridiculous. It's
right, yeah.
They'll still come round, which is fascinating that they'll come at that time.
Yeah, the fact that they do that, yeah.
They should have just nailed the whole click and collect thing, right? Asda in theory had a pretty decent system for that, set up in Ipswich, but then COVID hit and they didn't really actually then use it anymore, which is extra dumb because it would have been the best then.
Yeah, you think you could use it quite effectively during lockdown, if they set it up correctly.
They have this little garage built at the Ipswich one that was used for a couple months, and basically it's just a row of lockers. And they're chilled and everything, so you can order ahead and say I'm going to pick it up around this time, and then the staff will put them in a locker. Then you rock up and use the screen and say, "Yeah, I'm here." By some method, presumably enter a code or you sign in or hover your phone. I don't know, something. And then the locker would open and you'd grab your stuff and go. Easy. Yeah, and they don't do that. They then started having some you have to go to the delivery entrance, the one that the trucks use, and just sort of hang out there you're buying a Rolex off someone out of their jacket. It's that. It looks real shady. At least at the Ipswich one, maybe your mileage may vary. But that system worked. Okay, well, I guess maybe it didn't work. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe the actual system part of it was poorly written. Always blame software engineers. That's what we're here for.
I mean, it's usually our fault.
Yep. What we're here for.
That's the common thread with Alexa and everything that we've been talking about. And it's probably the common thread with our main theme of this podcast.
Yeah. So, are we like that Simpsons joke? The cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
What, software engineers? Yes, absolutely. It's true. Us and alcohol are basically the same.
That and politics. HIYOOOO. Satire.
So, talking of politics, it's time for the news. The kind of thing, especially political, going on in the world of whatever we talk about.
I mean, we could. I mean, it's not really political, but it's corporate. I could lead with a few of those stories.
Let's do some corporate intrigue.
Embracer Group, everyone's favourite mass market hug, I guess.
Well, second favourite, I guess.
Well, yeah. The Embracer Group decides no longer to embrace Volition. They have.
They didn't buy them that long ago, did they?
I don't think so. Well, Embracer didn't have anyone that long ago.
Well, sure.
They've been on a buying spree for a while, but they owned Volition, the makers of Saints Row and I guess one of our favourites of old, Red Faction, specifically Red Faction Guerrilla. That was a game.
It's a good one.
Yeah, they've closed them down, which brings a 30-year run of a studio to an end, which is always a bit of a shame.
What were they working on recently then? Or?
The new Saints Row.
Right.
Wasn't that last year or something? There was another Saints. Was it this year? I can't even remember.
Might have been this year.
No, it was definitely last year because it's not on our fantasy teams this year, right?
But we wouldn't have got it this year because we would have known it was bad, right?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, someone had it last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have had it last year.
It was quite late on, at least.
Like summer. Yeah. Anyway, they are unfortunately shutting down, and so I mean, it's always bad to it's never good to see a long-term studio like that shut down. But honestly, their recent run not so good.
Well, but realistically, they've only made the same game for all of those games.
Most studios.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is when you've made essentially 5 sequels of the same game, maybe it is time to just stop.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's the only game you know how to make, maybe that's enough.
Or the only game you've been allowed to make.
Well,
that's also the other thing, right?
Maybe.
Surprised they didn't shut down of their own volition.
I see what you did there. Yeah, since that was it. Probably since the after Saints Row 4 period, I think, is where they started going downhill, right? Saints Row 4 was considered okay.
Yeah.
But Saints Row 3 being kind of their peak, I guess. Saints Row 3 is a game. It's a good game. It's a stupid game.
GG.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. Not much more to say there. PlayStation Plus is increasing their prices by quite a large percentage in one go.
How do they compare with rival?
I will get to that because it's actually, let's just say it straight out. It's still favourable to Game Pass in terms of pricing, right? All of the tiers over the course of a year is still cheaper than Game Pass Ultimate. However, it's the general opinion, and it's not mine because I don't have PS Plus, and I have PS Plus, the Essential tier, which is the same it's always been, right? Which is you need that if you want to play online, and you get your Games with Gold equivalent every month added to your account. I'm still rocking that, even though I don't use my PlayStation all that much at the moment. But yeah, so that's effectively the general consensus is, well, they don't really have the lineup. They don't have the competing service yet. It's you put Game Pass next to it, and it's from my perspective in particular, the lineup of games is way stronger on Xbox, and Game Pass. In part due to their acquisitions and who they own, also in part to the fact you get EA Play thrown in on Xbox. They've done some good work there, and also you get first party titles day one, right? That's kind of their deal. You will get that, and Sony have outright said, no, we're not doing that, bro. We still want that fat $70 when God of War comes out. That's what we're about.
Different strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I find the PlayStation offerings a little harder to justify. Especially then when you throw in that it's okay, the low tier was £50 a year, which was already quite a bit for when it was always like that kind of price, I suppose, for like Xbox Live and Gold and stuff like that. But it's like that's still quite a lot, just basically for the ability to play online. And that's going up by what equates to 40% from £50 to £70 for a year. So that's quite a jump in one go. But that gets less as you go up the tiers. So it's gone from £84 to £100 for the extra tier, which is your Game Pass like tier. And it goes from 100 to 120 if you've got the premium tier, which is still cheaper than Game Pass Ultimate, but that's the one that starts throwing in retro games through PlayStation streaming and stuff like that. If you go for that tier. It should point out that at its current price, Game Pass Ultimate is $146 a year. But that's only if you're a madman like me and like potentially want it on both Xbox and PC. I don't use the PC side of it all that much, and that's probably
you don't
where
have that, do you?
I do have Ultimate.
You
yeah.
do? Okay.
I could probably tear down to just the Xbox level quite happily, though, if I'm being honest with myself. It's just because the Windows Store on PC is such a pain in the arse.
Right.
So it's like, although I have played stuff on PC through Game Pass, it's like it's not an enjoyable experience. Like it doesn't work half the time. I've literally had like whole like I remember trying to get Forza 4, I think it was, to install, and it took me like 5 or 6 attempts of downloading the entire game to get it to actually stick, because it would do the whole thing, get to the end of the process, and then be like, and then get stuck, and then not be able to complete, and then eventually error out. So you had to start the whole thing again. And eventually I got it to stick. But yeah, no, Windows Store is still a train wreck. At least on Windows 10. I don't know if that's true on 11. So it kind of makes me not want to use it on PC all that much. I guess what's the most recent thing I think I played was 2 Point Campus was the last thing I played on Game Pass PC. And that stopped working for me, but I think that was because that was a bug with the game on the Windows Store version, not with Windows Store itself. I can't launch that game anymore. Don't know why. I think I still got it installed, but last time I tried it, it just wouldn't launch. So yeah, that's that. PlayStation want their money, yo. Let's stay on the corporate angle. The ESA, those people everybody loves that run E3. As if E3 wasn't dead enough, they've decided to cut their ties with Reed Pop, who are the company that run PAX. But they were, but they've cut their ties with them over the fact that they couldn't get E3 to work this year. And we'll probably never see it again. Okay, so the ESA, as far as we know, the ESA currently have no one who can run an actual convention. That they're working with, and by the time they get one together, it will be too late, right? Because that seems to be how the ESA rolls. They announce everything, but at the point no one cares. That's what kind of happened this year, wasn't it? And they'll be like, "Yeah, we're doing it," and all of the exhibitors were kind of like, "Well, we've got other plans now." Sod ya. So there's that. Lament E3, if you will. Long live Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
Right.
We meant our E3 special episode, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I won't have to do E3 puns every year. I'll have to come up with something else.
What else go on?
What else do we talk about? Should we just... Oh, Stray's getting an animated movie.
Really?
That Annapurna cat game. It's getting a film.
I like that. That game's quite good.
It could translate to a nice sort of like anime, I suppose. You could do it in the kind of like silent anime ambient style. Could be pretty cool.
I guess. Yeah. Okay. Rather play the game, but sure.
Yeah. But could be neat. God, should we get this over with? Let's talk about Super Mario Wonder and its own direct. Yeah.
I'm sensing some negativity here.
I think they shouldn't have done that. I know.
Show that much?
Yeah, there was way too much in that direct.
What were you expecting?
I know.
I mean, they showed a lot, but they also didn't really show anything because you knew exactly what it was going to be. It was going to be a 7-world Mario game where you have a world map and you play levels.
Yeah.
Based on that now they've got some slightly strange mechanics occasionally.
I know, but it's still like when I just remember, like, it's been a while since I've played one of the 2D Marios. I think the last one I played was like Super Mario 2 on the 3DS, but I came at it late. My favorite so far was New Super Mario Brothers U. That was pretty good. But I think I enjoyed that because I went into it not knowing any of the surprises, right? And the fact that Nintendo does that thing that they do so well with the 2D Marios, which is like, here's a gimmick that you'll see for one level, and then it's gone forever.
They're leaning into that, right? It seems to me that the pitch for Wonder is like, what can we do that you could never make in Mario Maker?
Yeah, that's probably
now.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. I didn't feel the wonder in any of this. If anything, I found more to be irritated by than I did like actually going, oh, that actually looks like fun. I don't know. It's just it's not touching me. Not that Mario should touch me. Stay away.
I mean, we said it the first time we saw it, but talking flowers was a bad idea. And it continues to be a bad idea. We really have to hope so.
Yeah, they seem bad.
The trouble is that like you think like, oh, maybe you can turn them off, but the trouble is like they're basically almost a tutorial hint system, and then the Nintendo thing to do would be to not allow you to turn that off just in case people need help.
Yeah.
Well, my question is,
like the super guide
won't work, but can you turn the flowers into Japanese voice?
That would probably make that better.
Yeah, because that's what I do with Zelda, obviously. But I don't necessarily want all of the characters to be Japanese.
That would probably make that better. I would be more accepting of that.
Yeah, they should make that an option. They had to patch that into Zelda, into Breath of the Wild. I remember it wasn't available at launch.
But I said it before, but I really don't like those Sonic style good, great, excellent. Like just the words popping out of when you bounce on anything, right? You jump on a Goomba, it says good every time, like in a pop up thing, and it's like I don't know. It looks naff as well. Like
it's just like the new version of Score. It's just like it doesn't say 100 any longer; it says good.
Like at least Sonic put that out of the way in the corner of the screen, like when that was happening.
Well, in some games,
unless it was like the skill jumps, and then of course it's everywhere. But,
sure.
I don't know. That just looks naff. I'm not into the new art style. Okay, yeah, it's not too dissimilar from. It's not too dissimilar from new. But I know it's, and we at least now know it's like properly 3D rendered. I had my like concerns with some of the earlier footage that looked too much like Flash, just like 2D stuff. Like, I still think it looks a bit like Flash and a bit crap. I don't know. It doesn't work for me.
It's weird because they've just decided for some reason that they want to do a Sonic side face.
Yeah,
it's like what? Why is that the style you chose?
They're kind of all looking that 45 degrees towards the
and
camera.
It also just I think I said it was on the first trailer where it's like it's weird because they're facing out of the screen slightly, so you can see more of their face, which is why it looks weird to start with. But then you got the side mouth, which like is countering the forward facing of the face,
right,
to make it even weirder. And it also just looks weird when you're like you're running to the right, but you're sort of facing 45 degrees out of the screen.
Right, yeah. And I don't want to be too. Yeah, I do. I'm super hypocritical on this, and I'm aware that I'm super hypocritical on this because Rayman Legends kind of does this as well.
Sure.
And that's obviously built in Ubisoft's like
art. Rayman in general is kind of that.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And it's that was Rayman Legends, the most recent one in that style, was built on the UbiArt engine, right? So it's entirely 2D, and it entirely looks like that kind of morphing flash animation thing for the most part. But somehow that works way better than how this looks for me. I don't know. I think it's clearly there's some mastery in the art in Rayman that I don't know isn't translating here. But also I fucking hate Yowie Zowie.
It's got to be said. I hate it.
You
I know.
hate how he's
It's just
out.
like one guy somewhere in Nintendo's translation department started doing this, and now it's just spread. Like it turns up right in the intro of like Luigi's Mansion 3.
Oh,
and that was the first time I'd heard it.
Uh-huh.
And now it's just like, now it's everywhere. It's like, oh no, it's leaking from that one game.
I hate it. I think it's it's one of the naffest thing they've ever done.
I was fine. I would have been fine with it if it was just something Luigi said, because it was like. He says it in Luigi's Mansion 3, and it's like, well, Luigi's kind of weird. Like, he can say that, it's fine.
I mean, yeah, okay, but like, doesn't like Peach say it in this trailer, and it's like, okay, no.
That's weird.
No.
Having Peach
But
say
is it just like...
It's because every character is kind of equal, right? Apart from the Yoshis,
but you don't need that for you don't need that for the voice lines. Just because they can have all the same power-ups doesn't mean they need to say the exact same things.
It's not a good catchphrase.
But like, how did someone who like? Is it like a translation somehow,
or is it the new voice actor? Right, because it's not
also,
Charles.
But I don't think that would
like an improv.
I don't think that would influence what they use as the catchphrase for like Mario. Like, this would be a choice that would be much more considered than just having some voice actor say a thing and then be like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's clearly scripted in if everyone's doing it, or they did the Mario session and were like, oh, no, this is it. This is the line.
But, like, what is the translation? Like, what do they say in Japanese? Like, what's the, like...
Is it just Yowie Zowie? And they were like...
Yeah.
And the Japanese
didn't think it was weird because they wouldn't have understood it in the same way that we would.
But there's nothing to understand.
Noises.
It's just crap.
Well, sure.
Like in English, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's like... It's sort of like words.
Yeah.
Well, what's Duncan Jones's birth name, right? Isn't it Zowie Bowie?
No, right.
Now his middle name, Duncan Zowie Haywood Jones.
Right.
Classic.
But that's a middle name.
No, I think it was his first name.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually not sure.
Did he depole it to Duncan?
Yeah.
Deedpole? Deedpole? Deedpole.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, he was known as Zowie Bowie. Wow. Yowie Zowie. So stupid.
Look, here we go. I'm sure it will be a good game. I'm sure it will be fine. I'm sure it will play great. But
did you see how you can see the Mushroom Kingdom in the background?
Well, I like
they may have done that before.
Once again, I'm really annoyed where it's just like, hey, we had this whole adjacent kingdom to the Mushroom Kingdom already, the Bean Bean Kingdom. Bring back the Bean Bean Kingdom. But now we've got Plant Kingdom, which is almost the VV Kingdom.
Right, yeah.
And when you have, like, the little caterpillar prince dude, he almost looks like Prince Peasley from the VV Kingdom. And I'm like, they always did it, but they just couldn't. They just had to make up a new goddamn place.
Yeah. Isn't, like, every one of these new places they come up with, like, always just adjacent?
I don't think they usually make it a new kingdom. It's just like more different places.
Or a part of Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, like right. Outskirts or whatever.
The Badlands. Where's was it Chocolate Hill or whatever it's called?
What, like, Choco Hill?
Choco Hill, yeah.
And those are Yoshi Island though, right? That's slightly different.
Yes.
You get plenty of Yoshis here in Flower Kingdom, I guess.
I don't know why they have a dumb face also. Why do Yoshis have a dumb face now? Why was that animation changed?
Dumb face.
Yeah. I mean, the whole game.
You can ride the Yoshi as an elephant.
You can ride the Yoshi as another Yoshi.
Yeah.
Also, again, this is another one of those classic, like, things that are in co-op but are completely pointless, where it's like you're playing two characters, but then you can just stack them and make it one player again.
Yeah.
So like, what?
I mean, I guess it's like for youngsters, right? So they can do. What can they
do?
No,
but the whole point of Yoshi and Nabbit is because they can't die by normal means. That's the character for young people.
Yeah, sure.
You don't need to take physical control of that character.
Well, I don't know. I think there is. Yeah, I think there does come a point where it's like they want to be involved, but like don't have next. For really young players, right? Where they
Yeah, but then
some
they
way of
wouldn't
them
be
being
involved if you were just controlling the character for them.
Yeah,
That's not.
I guess
it doesn't make any sense.
I wonder if there's some way where that. Well, yeah. What do they have to do when they're doing that? Like that's. I'm not sure I remember what the answer to that was.
I mean, if you've got two Yoshi stacked, they both seem to be able to tongue, so they can both individually eat things, I guess.
Yeah. Is this like when you're playing Mario Galaxy and like player 2 can just waggle pick up the star bits?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Except worse, because like you're totally removing control, it seems, at a certain point. It just seems weird. The one thing that I do kind of like, except maybe not with the weird internet implementation they've done, is like the new resurrect system. Like the internet side of it with like you see other...
I would never use that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like the internet side of it with like you see different players in the background and then they can res you.
Yeah, I mean,
that kind of stuff.
Maybe once you finish the game, like done a single player run, maybe you turn it on and be like, okay, what like maybe because it would super highlight secrets, right? Presumably.
Well, yeah, I guess. But I'm more talking about the non-internet side of that, is like the new resurrect system of like it's actually a time limit. You don't just get bubbled forever until someone comes and rescues you. Right, There's like danger to it now.
Yeah, to an extent,
sort of.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we don't know what happens when that timer actually runs out because they didn't show that.
And presumably you could just sort of bubble your way into one of those markers someone else puts down.
Well, if you've got that turned on, though.
Yeah.
If you don't turn that on, then it's like a more advanced version of the old bubble system.
Taking a tangent for a second. There was a positive article on Kotaku saying that the co-op in Sonic Superstars might actually be acceptable. Despite my concerns.
Future game might be acceptable.
Yeah. Well,
raves Kotaku.
I know they were. Yeah.
But is that like acceptable compared to like Sonic 2, where it's just like you can play as Tails, but now you can have any influence at all instead of basically no influence.
Yeah. No,
if it's compared to other Sonic games, that's not saying much.
No, I guess not. Yeah, any improvement is an improvement, I suppose. Yeah, I didn't bother reading it, but I skimmed it. It was just like, oh, okay, maybe that's okay. Maybe my concern isn't so bad. But a slightly different tangent on the news. Sonic Team did apparently say they're not into pixel art.
Well, they're dumb.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of like they didn't. I think the phrase they used was like they don't see a future in pixel art for Sonic, and it's like you're stupid. Sonic Mania was super well received and special. It's like, what are you doing? Maybe Sega will just be like, oh, it's fine. We'll let other teams still do Sonic in that style, but Sonic Team don't give a monkeys. They're too busy with Frontiers.
Sure, yes.
There was some concern actually, like to bring the to bring the hype down a notch on Sonic Superstars,
as if it wasn't already.
I'm a bit late to this party, but I did hear that apparently it's the same developers working on this that worked on Balan Wonderworld.
Okay.
Not a good sign. And at least Yuji Naka's not involved. He's, in prison.
Oh my god. Oh dear. Well, let's hope it's acceptable then, given that background.
That would be a great line to put in a review. If this game comes out and is real bad, it'll be like, but Yuji Naka was saved by going to prison. It's like he doesn't have to be associated with this bad game. Oh, he gets to be in prison instead. Clearly the better choice.
Oh man.
Probably deserved it for Balan Wonderworld then.
I don't know, we got a lot of amusement out of Balan Wonderworld by not playing that game. Except I played that demo, so it was not good. It was weird.
Right, that's enough Mario, though. Really, isn't it?
That's enough Mario. Yeah, it'll be a good game. It's just easy to rag on. I think from that direct,
I will probably play that game. And I think it's a good strategy at the tail end of the Switch 1 releases to make really good, high-quality 2D versions of things like Metroid Dread and whatever.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, you're saying that as if they don't just make these kind of exact Mario games at any time.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I think that's a good thing to do, and then hold back the Metroid Prime 4s for the Switch 2 or whatever.
I wonder sometimes if
it's
Nintendo...
in the news, by the way, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like a week or two ago. There was some kind of new rumor about Switch 2 again, but But
it was shown to people, apparently, behind closed doors.
Sure.
And they had a tech demo of Breath of the Wild, like souped up. Not that that's going to be re-released, but just as a demo.
Oh, I bet it would. Or maybe they would patch.
Maybe
they would patch.
Well, they're pretty slow at that shit, aren't they?
Yeah.
Re-release.
Maybe they wouldn't need to patch it. Maybe if you just ran it on a better system, it would just run better.
But yeah,
I mean, no one would buy it for that purpose. But I mean, it'd be nice because that's what I'm assuming. That's what I want. Like, as soon as you talk about Switch 2, it's like it's got to be backwards compatible, right? It's just going to put those same cartridges in it, and it will just run.
Oh, that's the other thing that leaked was the new cartridge, which is the same with a little notch to make sure that you can't put it in an old Switch. Yep,
makes sense. I mean, they don't need to change that cartridge, right? There's nothing technological.
No, it's the classic. What did that before? I guess a Game Boy Advance can't. Well, it's too short, isn't it? What? When did they do that notch thing before?
I mean, the
3DS one has a little stick out notch. Yeah,
it'd be the same deal.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. Might have been true of on the Sega side. I reckon that was probably true of the 32X cartridges, right? They were a slightly different shape.
Well, that's slightly different. It's not just like a little notch.
So that's exciting, I think. It sounds like, from the very nothing that we know, that they are making a Switch 2, which is probably roughly the same form factor, not some crazy new thing.
It's been 7 years. It's like, they should damn well be looking at that.
Well, I mean, the question really about it is, like, even though it's clearly a Switch 2, is it considered to be the next Nintendo console enough that this resets the waiting for big releases? Is there going to be another Zelda on this?
No. But
that's
But
Mario?
I reckon they'll.
Mario, sure.
At this, if they have any awareness of cadence of video game launches, which sometimes I think they don't, they'll put that there. Well, I say Mario, that potential Donkey Kong game that apparently the Mario team are working on, rumored to be working on. That will be the launch title. Although it's expected it might be a Mario versus Donkey Kong title in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I think my dream for the power of this thing is it will be capable of doing one of these like 2.5D games like Super Mario Wonder in 4K.
Oh, that would look good. I mean, not Wonder, but
is that? Yeah. Okay. Or like Metroid Dread or something like that. I'm not asking for it to do like Zelda in 4K 60 because I don't think that's going to happen. But
no, I don't think they're going to be able to hit that target.
No, but if it can do, the 2D-ish thing, super clean, super high res, that would be awesome.
Mm. Even if they get Zelda running at 60 and 1080, that would be pretty cool.
So they can
I don't think they don't really care about frame rate, do they? Oh well,
depends on the game. Right. Depends on the game because they nailed it with Mario, right? The last few Mario games have been technically very, very competent in that area.
I guess
they're normally
pretty
good at hitting 60 if they want to. They're normally pretty good. At that. Splatoon is another great example, right? Splatoon,
sure,
nails that frame rate.
Just imagine if you could put in Age of Clarity and get 30 frames.
Oh my god! Just in
Okay.
Can you imagine?
That would almost be worth buying a whole new console.
Do you reckon they patch it to improve the LOD distance?
Probably not. That's just inherent in that game's engine, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway. Yep. Ninty.
Do you reckon we get another Hyrule Warriors?
If they want to steal my idea, I hope so.
I missed that. No DLC planned for Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, so that sucks because no master mode. It turns out. By the way, spoilers for what I've been playing, I guess.
Well, I think they were specifically talking about the one potential hope you may have for your master mode is I think they were specifically talking about paid DLC packs, like was in Breath of the Wild.
That's interesting because that implies they've got something else to work on.
Well, they've kind of also said they're kind of done with this version of Hyrule.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's what I mean. Maybe they're helping with the next Hyrule Warriors again.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Please,
maybe,
please.
Because they must have not stopped after Breath of the Wild, because they did the DLC and straight into Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, I mean, they said that Tears of the Kingdom was a DLC at one point, and then it just got expanded into a whole separate game, essentially.
Yeah. And the idea was too solid. So they were just like, we can spin this out. Sure. Give us 7 years, and we can spin this out.
For sure. That kind of paid off.
Kinda, maybe a little.
Yeah, massively. Yeah. No, that's cool. And I did see all the things about Super Mario's Wonder development about how they just have no deadline or whatever originally. And they just gave them. I mean, it's the opposite of the usual industry approach.
I'm pretty sure Nintendo grants that to a lot of their internal studios, where it's just like we don't care, make it good, it will sell forever.
Yeah.
The Mario Kart team will never make another Mario Kart. No. So they've done themselves out of a job.
I don't know. I think they need to.
Do you reckon? Because they're still. Have they finished the course pass yet?
I don't think they have.
No.
But that's not what you want. As we always say, mix up the formula a bit more than just new tracks.
I mean,
on the same exact engine.
New levels are nice.
Bring back Double Dash. God damn you.
Double Dash.
New levels are nice, but to keep something fresh for that long, you really do need a mechanical shift. Every now and then, right? Nothing lives forever.
Or commit harder to the transform racing aspect, which they kind of started doing, but not you could go further with that.
You definitely could.
Make some actual water course parts where you're an actual boat.
Proper boat. Bring back Wave Race, but in Mario Kart.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah. Just, 10 years ago or longer now, we got Sonic All-Stars Racing transformed, and that game rocks. So, steal some. I think you can steal some ideas now. It's fine.
Probably. or just somehow mix F-Zero into it. Make a mechanic where you have normal Mario Kart, but then there's the super speed section where it just turns into F-Zero for a bit.
I don't know if a bit of me just broke or lit up. I can't. I'm very torn by that suggestion.
Yeah, I suppose, can you make Mario Kart more flexible in terms of tone, like Smash Brothers?
I mean, they already kind of did.
You absolutely can.
You've got Link and Animal Crossing, and
but can you push that even further, right? And make it really different.
I absolutely, I think they should. They should Smash Bros the hell out of Mario Kart, and it would probably be great. Because Mario Kart is foundationally solid, right? And it always has been. But at this point, what do they do other than maybe if they did these mechanical tweaks, it would be that little bit more interesting, and it would be another Mario Kart game. What do you do to push that further? You go mad. You add so much bonkers variety like Smash did. Okay, yes, that wasn't Nintendo technically themselves. That was, what they called it. They're not HAL Labs anymore. Is it Sora? That's it. It's Sora going to town on putting everything they possibly can in that game and making it as super customizable and super wild. And I don't know, you're a little bit limited by actually still making the racing compelling in a game like that. But why not throw the kitchen sink at it? Why not throw assist trophies in? Why not have Waluigi just turn up and Waluigi would be a racer, so he probably wouldn't just turn up. Why not have Knuckles punch a hole in the track?
Yeah.
Or the Wrecking Crew just drop bombs randomly around. Go weird. There's plenty of scope to go weird. Modifiers, make some races extra slippy for some reason. Or
I'm sure there's a lot of fun they could have. It's got to come for Switch too, right? Anyway, we're talking next year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. If they do make Mario Kart 9, I think it is still many, many years away. 8 still sells too well. They've got absolutely no driving force to make another Mario Kart right now.
Yeah.
driving
force. Mario Kart driving force. Non-Nintendo news. What we got?
You found a couple of things before the podcast. That's probably
Yeah.
worth talking.
I saw there's that thing that Rockstar are apparently selling cracked games on Steam.
I mean, this is great.
In the sense that when they go to re-release some of their old games, they couldn't be bothered to like remove the CD copy protection, so they just used an old crack that was available at the time from some crack house. So
what games are these? Are these replacing the crappy definitive edition releases, like GTA?
I don't think it's Grand Theft Auto,
right?
But let's see.
Because that would probably be better, right? If they just ran those original versions.
Midnight Club 2, I guess.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I always forget that was Rockstar.
Yeah.
That is going back some.
Yeah, various things like that.
Bully?
Possibly Bully, yeah. Apparently it's not. It has happened before.
They're porting Rockstar Table Tennis to Steam?
What happened to that?
that only ever ended up on Xbox, right? As an engine test. I think it only got a 360 budget release.
Max Payne.
Manhunt. Oh, right, of course, because that's at least Max Payne 3, I guess.
Mm.
But did it?
I think they
own the originals.
Yeah, Max Payne's 1 and 2, I guess.
Not Remedy anymore then.
But that's sort of funny. Still waiting for Alan Wake 2. I hope that's fun.
I mean, it's getting a lot of hype.
And then everything else was just Starfield related, I guess.
Right.
Because that's the game. Which I was thinking about it is like,
are we surprised about how that turned out?
Yeah. And also like, what's your temperature on it, Zach? Because you like Fallout 4 and shit like that.
Well, the trouble is that, like, as I've always said about the Bethesda games, it's like, is it going to be just another? Is it just going to be Bethesda? Not whether the game is good. It's like how much Bethesda is showing through here.
Quite a bit, from what I can tell.
Yeah, but I mean, people seem to say that it's like potentially the most functional Bethesda game there's been in a while.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that the jank is down.
I mean,
does that make it
seen
worse?
Some funny jank videos.
Oh, like Danny O'Dwyer. The first thing I saw of him tweeting about it was that it had a classic Assassin's Creed glitch when no one's faces were loading. So it was just eyeballs.
I saw one today, which was an NPC that says "see you later" and then sort of clips through a wall, so he disappears.
Oh, nice! But that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, a few appropriate ones. So, yeah,
I mean, really, I haven't been watching any footage or anything of it, just in case I want to play it. But in order to choose whether I want to play it, it's like how much am I just going to be playing Fallout again? Because realistically, probably quite a lot.
It seems like a lot, yeah, because it's. They haven't No Man's Skied it as much as I was expecting. Is my takeaway from
that
it.
Seems to be what I've noticed so far. Not that means it's not even not bad, but not even against me not liking it. But it's clear the traversal between planets is like a bunch of fast travel separated by cutscenes, right, and menus, rather than you can't get in your ship and take off and fly into space like you can in No Man's Sky.
Which in fairness, system travel in No Man's Sky is still a loading pause like that. Right?
Yeah, sure. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a loading pause. I'm saying there's no kind of seamless feeling of moving through the world.
It's not even when you approach your own ship, right, and you don't just climb immediately into it. It fades to black and transitions to now you're in the ship environment. Which I guess is easier to model from a physics perspective, because then you don't have to worry about moving stuff around. But
and also probably helps with the custom shipbuilding.
Yeah,
then it can just work out the geometry it needs to worry about.
Exactly. Yeah.
I sort of think I've seen Starfield do this a couple of times, and it was okay. But I noticed this as well in the what was that Star Wars game, the Ubisoft one that.
The upcoming one?
The upcoming one.
Is it just Outcasts?
Outlaw,
something like that. I totally get like that you can't do it seamlessly. Well, you can, but that's not what you've chosen your game design to be. You've chosen your game design to be separate worlds separated by cutscenes to smooth it over. But if I'm like, put a lot of effort into those cutscenes and make them nice, because they don't seem like that one in the Star Wars one didn't quite work for me. Like it's usually the moment, the instant you regain control, and it's like the transition is never quite nice. There's always a twitch or something, and it's like, well, this is clearly like that was the moment when the cutscene ended. It's like, can't you just
that seems extremely difficult? Yeah,
put a lot of effort into making those cutscenes that cover the loading pauses really good. And that's what my advice.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because then my suspension of disbelief, I'm perfectly happy to suspend my disbelief. I know there's a cutscene there. Oh, sorry, a loading. I know you're covering a loading pause, but if you make it nice enough, then I'm gonna like seeing the cool transition.
Right? Because at least in I don't know what it was like for your experience, Zach, but on Xbox, on Series X at least, like the loading pauses between system transitions on No Man's Sky were fine, right? Because you're in your cockpit, you get the light show go on.
Sure, you're not really seeing it.
You're not seeing a whole bunch, and then on Series X at least that light show's pretty quick. Because
definitely not on my system.
Yeah, well, that was the reason I didn't really play No Man's Sky on my PC, because I've still got it installed on it, but it's like the loading pauses are so much longer on my PC than they are on Xbox. But they made it nice. But then and Mass Effect did a reasonable job.
Mass
right?
Effect, because you go up to the map, right, in the ship, and that part's cool. And the map comes up. You're in the ship, and you're looking at the map physically.
Yeah,
the hologram map, and then it opens the interface. It has really good music, has a cool like interface thing. Then when you actually do the fast travel, it's perfect. But then when you hit go, it loads up the same FMV of your ship flying past the mass relay.
Sure.
Every time, and that could have done with a little bit more.
Maybe a few variations, but at the time I remember that being like, this is a perfectly acceptable way to hide what is clearly going on here. Like it's all right. But then you got a landing sequence as well, and
that was nice.
Every area had its own landing sequences,
and I think Starfield maybe I just haven't seen enough, but it just seemed, and I have that same feeling with the Star Wars one. It's like just slight clunk. I'm not expecting too much.
I mean, I've seen some reviews and stuff on Starfield, and they're like the thing that in theory would make Starfield unique from a Fallout is the spaciness.
Yeah,
and apparently that's the bit they've not done the best at. Like the space parts of that game are the boring bits. Like it's better on foot. Being a Fallout game,
right? Because it's the same.
Because it's the same. It's the thing. It's the thing they've been doing for years, and they're honing their craft, I suppose. But in some respects, kudos for them trying to do something new. Because hey, it's not like Bethesda Softworks do anything. How long has it been? Like they were saying, like it's like 20, 30, some ridiculously long period of time since Bethesda Softworks, not Bethesda as a publisher, have done a new IP. So good on them for giving it a go, and an ambitious project at that. The thing I was sort of thinking about it, like when I've been watching footage of this though, is like I was thinking about like the I've forgotten their name. Who's the developer that did Stick of Truth and New Vegas?
Obsidian,
yes. I was thinking about their offshoot, Outer Worlds, of which a sequel is coming at some point,
right? And
I was kind of looking at the two, going, man, these are, even with Starfield's like many years later after Outer Worlds, and Outer Worlds obviously being a lot smaller in scope, they look really similar. Like really similar.
It's the kind of genericiness, but it's interesting because Outer Worlds has a bit of Fallout 50s atomic thing mixed in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which obviously Starfield doesn't have,
because Starfield leans into the like NASA aesthetic, right?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like that.
That stuff's pretty good. Yeah. I really like that Starfield Xbox controller. That looks rad. Like with its little decals on it. It's like...
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm not usually a fan of that kind of thing, but that's a cool control. And like even the like console wrap or whatever is it's quite nice theming. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, if I cared about the game, then Mass Effect, it might be slightly different. But yeah,
problem I have is that I could just go play Starfield because it's on Game Pass. But a bit of me in the back of my head has always said, "Well, I've got a copy of Fallout 4.
Yep.
I should probably play that and see what the fuss is all about."
I'd be interested to.
And it has like FPS boost on Series X and all that kind of stuff. Microsoft have done some work there to make it better.
Wow. But would it be as good as it could be if you had the PC version modded? That's the trick.
Probably not, no.
Because that's the real question. That's why every time I think about going back to play Fallout 4 again, it's like... would I be able to remember what things need fixing with mods? Like, I'd have to go look it up again and be like, what do I need to do to make this good?
I'm sure the community would have this is the hot list. This is probably the best way to play the near base experience, but improved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet in like 5-10 years, Starfield will be insane.
Oh man,
right? Yeah. Like Skyrim style.
Yeah, because modders love Bethesda games.
Well, yeah. when they're not trying to make mods a paid feature.
Yeah, what is the state of that? Is like if they just dropped that whole thing?
They dropped it immediately. That was the whole thing about that.
But I don't know about immediately. I remember that sort of going on for the creators thing.
It took like a few weeks
for
them to fully I guess they didn't necessarily get rid of it. I'm sure it still exists.
Because is that still the way that they do mods for console? Because they experimented with that, right? That was kind of what this whole thing was, or part of it, other than making money off of it. Was trying to lean towards to offer that experience for.
I feel like users. They launched it, people hated it, and then they just abandoned it, probably.
Yeah.
I bet that's probably how that exactly went. I bet it still exists, but obviously no one's going to be making mods for it, or whatever their approval process probably doesn't actually exist any longer, or it probably doesn't. It's probably frozen in time because no one wanted it.
Yeah, I bet they probably haven't built any system like that into Starfield for console.
No.
So
but
because people are already complaining about that there was some marketing deal with AMD that meant that that NVIDIA DLSS isn't available for it.
Right.
We're
going back to the age of hair physics.
Tress effects.
Yep.
It's still the hair, though, isn't it? That crushes your graphics card in games sometimes.
I don't know if that still exists, right? I can't remember. Well, admittedly, I don't play PC games all that often at the moment, but I don't remember it since Tomb Raider being an option I can toggle.
But even by the age of Tomb Raider, it didn't matter as much. It was only because in those first initial games where it was fully reliant on having an ATI card, like Black and White 2.
I think I had Tress Effects turned on my Nvidia thing, but
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. By that point, it wasn't a specific technology any longer in that same way.
Because isn't FSR a weird thing? The AMD FSR kind of a weird thing anyway, in that you actually don't need AMD gear to run the FSR solution. Like a game can implement it, and that will work on Nvidia gear.
Hmm.
Is it something like that? I'm sure I'd come across examples like that where you can do that.
Apparently, the NVIDIA version is called Hairworks.
Okay.
Which is a great...
Does it?
I don't know. I don't know if Hairworks. Hairworks for you.
Whoa, Hairworks. Hairworks for you. Starfield.
Remains to be seen if any of us will play it or when.
It looks like you're going to shoot a lot of people in the face. Just saying.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah. Whether you want to or not, it looks like you're going to be shooting a lot of people in the face.
Well, can you not play pacifist in Starfield? Surely.
I read one thing that was saying that that's a pretty difficult run to actually pull off. It's just forces you. If you pick, I think it's like some side quests just go that way, and it's like I guess your only option would be a run if you were doing pacifism.
That's the news.
Well, I mean, there's a tiny bit of news about Factorio, I guess, because they're continuing to post their Friday facts now about the expansion.
Right.
And this is, I guess, the third Friday facts now that they've started doing them again. And this is like the first one that's actually been sort of actually new stuff. Like the previous one was more about optimization, where they were talking about like the robots are going to get better because we've optimized pathfinding or whatever, so the robots just function a bit better. They're not quite so dumb or whatever. But this new one, where it's like here's an actual new system, and of course it's the worst possible thing where the developer spends like a shit ton of time making this whole new feature, and apparently this was one of the early things that they worked on, so it's like it's quite complete, and then they talk about it and people don't like it. It's like that can't be a good thing for the developer to have happen. To show your new idea to the community and the community generally shit on it.
No.
But so it's...
I guess to some extent that's the point.
Well,
right?
kind of, except it wouldn't be so bad if they hadn't specifically said that it was like, this is one of the first things we worked on and it's so perfectly complete and it's like, it's fully optimized and all this stuff. We spent all this time and it's like, this is the one thing that people don't like. That would be the worst thing to have to dump or redo.
The thing you've spent the most time on. Yeah.
The thing that you thought you were done with like years ago. But yeah, so the feature in question is they're adding quality to items.
Quality beefy.
Like basically, it seems like almost any item, including like. So the point of it is that like different qualities of buildings or whatever will have increased bonuses. So like assembling machines will work faster and gun turrets will shoot further or whatever. So that's like the end product, but then the quality is like it's applied down the chain to all like the intermediate products. So you could just like make a better quality gear, which gives an increased chance to make the machine you're making out of the gear a higher quality machine or whatever. And so there's sort of a couple of problems with it. The main problem mechanically is that it seems to just be like a giant resource sink. Like, and it creates this weird like recycling loop where, because if you want the quality product, making a quality thing is like, you know, it's a percentage chance based on the quality of the input parts. If you have all the high quality input parts, you're guaranteed to make the high quality product. But if you're using you know, if it's not guaranteed, it's a random chance based on the how far of an upgrade from the previous tier it is or whatever.
Right.
So it then creates this like weird recycling loop where you're just making an item over and over again, hoping to get the high quality, and all the low quality ones you're just reprocessing and turning back into components. But the recycling step is like, you only get like a quarter of the components back. And then you can do this. There's this even weirder thing where you can, in order to make higher quality parts, you have to put quality modules in the machine, which is just like another type of module.
Quality modules.
It's just like another.
There's a quality module.
It's just the fourth kind of module after like efficiency, speed, and productivity modules. So now you put the quality modules in to basically enable the machine to be able to make different quality parts on this percentage chance roll. But like the way they show it is you can put the quality modules in the recycler, and then when it recycles a low quality item, you can somehow get high quality parts out of that. Which is just like, that just seems really weird and like super randomly gamey in this otherwise sort of semi-realistic thing. But like with these recyclers giving you such a low percentage back for like much more deep reasons about all the other game engines interacting, where they didn't want to accidentally make a positive loop or anything. Right, yeah. Because it gives you such an incredibly low percentage, it just seems like that's just going to be a massive resource sink for like not actually much reward. Like they specifically say, because they show this like recycling quality loop where it's like it's aiming to make the highest tier item but starting from the lowest tier, and this is using the best quality modules and the best machines and all that stuff. And then it's like, well, this can give you a return of like making the highest quality item is only 56 times more expensive than the lowest quality one. And I'm like, that's a bit much, really. for like anything that's even slightly expensive, for anything that you'd actually want to spend the time doing this for, like the personal armor or the Spidertron that are really expensive to start with.
Other than it being a puzzle to solve, and they're making them making it a hard puzzle, it's like, is that?
But that's the thing about it as well, is like it's not really a puzzle to solve because you only solve it once and it's the same for every item. Right. You're just going to make that blueprint and stamp it everywhere you just want to upgrade the quality or filter the quality.
Yeah. Is it because it's probabilistic and not guaranteed? Is that part of the problem?
I mean, people think that's a problem, but realistically, that's not. It's like it might be annoying for if you were trying to like make the upgraded personal armor where you're only after one, but if you were wanted to make, say, all the assembling machines in your factory higher quality, you know, after you've made 100, the probability is just going to sort of even out, and it won't actually matter. Like when you're in mass production terms, probability doesn't actually affect anything in the long term, but it will be annoying if you're just looking to make that one singular item that you want super high quality and you just don't roll. Good luck for ages.
Right, yeah.
And you're just dumping resources into that process. That's going to be kind of annoying. So that's sort of a problem, but I don't know if that's as much of a problem. I just don't like that it is that. It's like that it is. Even at this point, it looks like it's a solved problem. Like, you just look at the thing that they showed in the thing, and it's like, well, yeah, you just build that. But I mean, admittedly, we don't, you know, there could be other systems that they haven't yet showed that are going to interact with this in a different way.
Right, yeah.
And the other slight problem that I have is just like, they've added a tiered system on top of a tiered system. Like, you already have assembling machines in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and now each of those can have 5 different quality tiers.
Right.
So, like, why would you do that?
Well, to add complexity.
Yes, but it's not really complexity. Also, you know, as people very quickly pointed out, you're going to run into the immediate, like, you know, the way people solve problems in games, where it's just like, there's 5 quality tiers, but realistically there's 2, like lowest and highest. No one cares about the middle ones.
What is the point in going to the middle ones? Or is there no like system for that you have to build up through the tiers, or is it?
Yeah, you do have to kind of, except because of the recycling system, you can filter the components and then build them into slightly better components and then recycle those into slightly better components. So it's like you can tier it up contained within one system, essentially.
Right. So it's not like it's not like you can just get like highest tier.
You can, but the percentages suck. Right. Like if you're using these like apparently quite expensive high quality modules, because quality modules can have quality, helpfully. But then that can give you like a 10% chance to go up one tier, and then like a 1% chance to go up 2 tiers, and then like a 0.1% chance to go up 3 tiers or whatever. It's that, you know, it's logarithmic or whatever, I guess, scaled percentage chance. So it's like the percentages kind of suck. But, you know, again, that's just a matter of if it's balanced well enough to scalability. Like if you're making 1 million goddamn green circuits and you're filtering out the 10,000 quality ones and then using those to build specifically quality items, maybe that's not so bad.
Right. I'm not sure I see why this is that bad, but I also don't see why it's that
interesting.
Yeah.
And then the not actually a problem, but the problem that everyone has with it is like, for some reason they decided to use like regular loot naming conventions. So you've got like uncommon gears and epic gears. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. Use your own system that sounds more like industrial. Precision gears or something.
Yeah.
Expert
machine.
You don't want a legendary solar panel.
Slightly,
why not?
You could have slightly wonky gears. That would work, right? As your low con, slightly wonky gear.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of weird industrial terms you could easily use.
Poor metal gear, like it's made of the wrong metal.
Well, that would be different though. If it was made of the wrong metal.
Inadequate gear.
So yeah, I don't know. It seems like, and then the other like counter argument to all the all the problems with it is like it doesn't actually unlock until relatively far through the game. So like it's not it, and you know it's optional, but calling things optional is never actually an argument because like if you put something in a game, people are going to do it. It's
Well,
like
you look at it, yeah.
you're not going to not do a thing that is content, even if you don't find that content super interesting.
I mean, you might, but
well,
like,
you might.
Yeah, I guess there's like it's there in the UI. You might go, "Ooh, what's that?" Like if you're a new player, I suppose. Like,
Well, sure, as a new player, but I mean, it's like, are they thinking too much of this expansion being for hardcore Factorio players? Not that it isn't going to be for hardcore Factorio players, but are they angling it too much towards that?
right? Yeah, and failing.
Well, and maybe failing. It's hard to tell the actual sentiment of the whole community, of course, because only people who don't like things are going to come and tell you about it.
Yeah, that's true. You're only going to hear the shouts loudest crew, which is usually the angry crew.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like, I didn't like it initially, but like at a certain point, I'm just like, yeah, I'm probably okay with just like, I'll just filter off the occasional random better quality part and then just use that to make personal armor or whatever, just for the slight bonus. I don't feel like it's a thing that I'm going to intentionally commit like the recycling loop masses of resources towards. It will just be a bonus.
You know, when you're this deep into a game, when this thing hasn't even come out yet, and
Yep.
you're that.
Well,
you're planning.
That's the thing about Factorio, is like it's all about plans.
Yeah.
And if they show you enough of the mechanic that you can plan, like they haven't really shown enough about the space mechanics to be able to know how that's going to function yet.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's what's going on in Factorio. Not actually going on in Factorio, I guess. It hasn't even.
Not yet.
It's still a year away at least
Yeah.
before we'll actually get to use this whole thing.
Settle in.
There's that. That's Factorio news.
Is that something you've been playing then, Zach?
A little bit, yeah.
Good transition.
Yep, good job. I've played some Factorio.
Do we need a sequence though to transition to this segment? Do we need like a loading pause where like
where we sit around for a couple of extra minutes for no reason?
do we need to build the what you've been playing section out of a blueprint?
This isn't a video. You don't have to do any editing.
Hooray!
We've just inserted a scene where it was previously seamless. There you go.
Yep. We had to call out the seamlessness of that seamlessness and make it non-seamless.
Exactly. It was too smooth. Yeah,
I played some Factorio. I played a mod that I'd played previously, but it's a new version of it. It's called Industrial Revolution, but it basically makes it so that the early game is focused around all your machines are steam powered, so you have to use pipes to put steam everywhere, basically. And
put steam in holes.
Yeah, put steam in holes. Lots of holes. Holes in every machine that pipes connect to. But yeah, I've just sort of started to reach the electricity age where it's like, finally, I've learned how to make machines that aren't run on steam, except they technically are still run on steam because of steam engines, but right. I mean, it's like the steam engines make power.
Yeah. So it's just like a total conversion kind of thing. Like,
arguably, like a lot of the stuff is still the same. A lot of Factorio mods are like this, where it's not like it's substantially the same, but like the progression through it is slightly different. And maybe you get these extra resources. Like in this one, you have stuff like gold and extra different resources to make the progression through the tiers of stuff slightly different. I mean,
is there nice work on the presentation side?
Yes, that is one of the things that this does do, is like the actual graphics are good. Like all the assembling machines and all the new pipes and stuff look appropriately
nice.
Like, well, I mean, they're all made of copper to start with, so they're all sort of coppery brown as well, which is distinct from when you finally get electrical stuff and it's all iron, so it's all shiny silver. And they will have nice animations and stuff, but that's sort of more standard for mods nowadays. Okay. Like we've reached the point in Factorio modding where it's like everyone is expected to have good graphics now, not just recolor the old graphics.
Okay. It's got too pro.
Yeah.
for some definition,
which is
2,
I guess that's another one of those slight arguments about the whole quality thing from that DLC, where it's just like you've taken the cheap route. Instead of making 5 new tiers of assemblers with different graphics, you've just used the same assembler, and now there's 5 of them that don't look any different, but they're different speeds, but just because.
Right, yeah. didn't build assets for this.
Yeah. Which, I mean, arguably you could say, but we don't know what the other assets they have made are yet. For the whole different planets and all the space stuff.
Sure, yeah.
This could be why this is like this. They could have put the work in for the assets elsewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, I played some Factorio. But, I mean, the only thing I need to talk about, really, is just talk about Zelda again briefly. Because I finished it at last.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then was very disappointed that Master Mode isn't in there. And then was subsequently, about a week later, disappointed again when they said there wasn't going to be any more DLC, so there won't be Master Mode.
Well, there might be.
But there might be, I guess, if they do a free update.
Yeah.
But yeah, I finished it.
I'd be very surprised if they don't come around. I mean, yeah, I guess I see your point. Like we were talking about it earlier, that putting Master Mode in might be a bit of a challenge.
Yes, it's definitely not a no-work thing. You're going to have to spend some effort.
Yeah, to make
it
up enough.
To even make it as dumbly expanded as Breath of the Wild one was. Yeah. But yeah, I finished it. And obviously can't really talk about the ending in terms of actually what, the stuff about it, but I do want to talk about it in very general terms. Which is to say...
Is it better than Breath?
Well, so the thing is, the approach to the end is worse than Breath of the Wild, because the Hyrule Castle was just cool.
Right.
And it doesn't do that as well, that sort of idea of like the end zone, which is fine. I mean,
that's a little disappointing, because I feel like when this game when Tears has decided to do an approach, I suppose, or a sort of semi-guided,
like the pre-temple bits, basically.
Yeah, those experiences have been pretty. They've been agreeable.
Yeah.
That's where they put the effort in, right?
Yeah, I guess that is kind of like, it is a bit weaker than those. I mean, there is still something to it. And it does have it does have new music, I guess.
Always good.
Which is nice. You've been hearing that same
new music.
Same music the whole time.
All the new music is great. There just needs to be more.
Yeah.
More new music.
So there's that. And then in terms of like the actual boss fight, it's better than Breath of the Wild. The second stage is almost actually difficult, or I found it almost actually difficult,
right?
Which is nice.
Well, that's saying something, given you're pretty much maxed out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was deliberately wearing slightly weaker armor.
Okay.
Damage isn't the problem, let's say.
What, dealing damage?
Right. It's the actual mechanics of the fight that are the slightly tricky part.
Okay. So you
didn't run out of magic and run out of get screwed over.
You're completely boned.
No light arrows.
Completely boned.
I mean, I guess in this game you could run out of weapons, conceivably. Burnt through all your weapons, you'd run out of...
You just run away.
Well, I mean, you could probably just leave it. I guess I don't know, because, well, obviously once you finish it and you reload your save, it puts you just before the possible point of no return, but I would assume you can still maybe teleport out at any point. Maybe not once you get into the actual boss fight.
Would it stop it? Yeah, that would be weird. I guess you just don't try that. Like, what if you were in one of the actual major boss fights and just go bye?
Yeah. Presumably it will stop you. Like, it just won't let you teleport.
Yeah.
It will just put a word on the text box in the middle of the screen that says, you can't do that now.
For some reason. We'll just go, dudunk.
Yeah, probably. So there's that. The second stage is sort of difficult. And the last stage is still a cutscene boss, but, like, not so much as the dumb pig dude from Breath of the Wild.
That was pretty dumb.
It's a less bad version of that.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
Still quite cutscene-y. The actual thing that I found
that could be fine.
Less good about the end is like the actual cutscene. Well, like not in the process of going through the end, but like the actual end cutscenes are kind of like a bit like weak. They don't feel very epic, considering like Breath of the Wild's one didn't feel that epic.
No, I agree. Like the end cutscenes of Ocarina are like the most epic.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe we don't need to go full like Ewok party mode like Ocarina does.
That was great.
or even Return of the King, right? With its many fade outs.
But like, you know, the endings do just feel a bit.
It was basically the Ewok party.
Yeah,
but the Ewok party is great. I wish they hadn't changed it in the special edition so it cuts to like half the galaxy.
Those Cloud City and stuff.
Yup dub. They cut the awesome stupid music.
Yeah.
Anyway, can you even get that anymore? Sorry to, but like, can you get the original cut of it and get the yup nub?
No, probably not.
Yeah,
unless you managed to. Unless there was like a DVD release that actually was that original one before Lucas started messing with it.
I'm sure someone's ripped a VHS, but that's not the same thing as getting it.
Well, yeah, there's those really fascinating like restoration projects, you know, the fan-made restoration projects of the original cut, which are surprisingly excellent if you go look for those.
I remember retweeting someone that I know posting when Trump lost the election, just a picture of the Ewok party with the words "yup nub."
But yeah, the ending cutscenes are a bit like, hey, you won anyway. It's just like, this doesn't seem like
it's just kind of that's done.
I mean, we thought we were saving the entire world when we were defeating Calamity Ganon, and now we've discovered an even bigger threat, and now we've killed him as well. It's just like,
Is everyone just like, well, that's done? I bet there'll be more. Kind of like now we're just used to this.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like that. It feels like they don't consider it a big deal. Like, we're just next month we're going to go down a different hole and find another giant evil enemy.
In fairness, that's kind of the vibe of the whole game, right? Like, there's a certain element of like when you're just other than like the people that look at Outlanding and stuff like that, you're just sort of.
Well, it's because they.
I mean, yes, there's the problems in the four main temple areas, right? But there's not like it never feels like everyone's like that. This is like, oh, doom is upon us.
Well,
like it never gives that vibe. It's just like, well, there's things happening.
It's because like it feels like Link just hasn't told anyone. I think we talked about it before. It's like if Link actually talked more, they'd be a lot more worried about this shit.
I guess, yeah.
It's like he apparently tells them that they found this mummy and it fell in a hole and Zelda disappeared, and then there's this ghost Zelda wandering around that everyone's worried about. And it's just like,
has he ever told anyone about? At least where I'm at, like he just he obviously sees the tears and the memories.
Yeah, and then he never tells anyone about that.
Yeah,
it's like there's this whole thing going on in the past that is probably kind of important to know about. You know. The whole history of the world is kind of important.
Guys, do you remember that tapestry we used to go on about all the time? Like it's like that.
Yeah, it's like that, but different.
But in my head.
And also maybe on those walls down in that first cave where you see the mural and all that stuff.
Maybe send. Oh, I mean, I guess you can't send Joshua down there now.
No,
it's all a bit messed up.
It's all a bit gloomy. But yeah, it's like. It does feel, even at the start of the game, it seems very weird that they're like, oh, you saw this mummy and he seems to know you and it's this whole thing. And then they're just like, well, don't worry about him for now. Don't worry about him for the next several months, I guess, while you go and deal with the 4 other places. It's just like, I feel like they really didn't put enough weight on that. Because, like, it's clearly obvious that he's the major bad guy, right? I mean, admittedly, maybe they don't know that. Maybe they don't know the tropes in their world. But like,
right, they don't know the Zelda tropes in Zelda, yeah.
But he did lift the entirety of Hyrule Castle up just by shouting at it, almost.
And it's not like they don't know. You've explained to them exactly what happened, right?
Yeah, they know that he was down there and
he did
a thing that caused all these Sky Islands to appear apparently as well. And the shrines and all that, and the whole world changed. It's just like maybe something important is going on, and also he seems to be related to the gloom. You know, this thing that's really bad for everyone at the moment.
I keep forgetting what it's called. The equivalent of the gloom in Breath. What's it called? Malice.
Malice.
Right.
Malice. Yeah.
Anyway,
I did watch a video about the translation of Tears of the Kingdom, and like, I think it's. I don't know if it is this in Japanese or whether it's like the Japanese translation would work better, but like the gloom could have been called miasma.
Oh, right.
Which would have made more sense.
That's a bit more gas-like, though, isn't it? Miasma.
But yeah.
I think Gloom is perfectly good. What's wrong with Gloom?
I can't see. Yeah, there's no problem with Gloom.
I don't think it sounds dangerous enough.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
It's not like it's alliterative with Doom, which is good. Yeah. Like Gloom hands and stuff.
I mean, I guess
it's not like Death Goop. But you might take that more serious.
That's why Malice seemed a bit better.
Dupe.
It's like that sounds more dangerous than Gloom.
Yeah, fair.
What else would you call it?
But Gloom does a single word name dangerous.
Sounds.
I think it looks more threatening, the red, than the pinky purple stuff.
Maybe, yeah.
But then the pinky purple stuff was on theme with the ancient Sheikah tech, I guess, a bit more.
Yeah,
so it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the ending of that.
Yeah.
And I am still thinking about basically using the other account I have on my Switch to just get through the start of the game relatively quickly, because I still want to see about some of the weird sequence break possibilities.
Right, yeah.
Are you going to try and break it then? You could do things weirdly.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I want to try. I do also kind of want to see what happens if you just go to the end immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
How that changes. Figures that out, because
Did you ever do that in Breath as an experiment?
No, I did watch speedruns of it, so I know what happens. Yeah. Like, you have to fight the calamity, the blights there instead of, because you won't have fought them in the Temple Divine Beasts.
Oh yeah, in the Divine Beasts.
So you fight them there, and you also don't get the giant laser that knocks off half of Calamity Ganon's health immediately. You have to do that fight for real.
Right. Yeah. And you are not powered up anyway.
Not super powered, yeah. But yeah, so
and you'd have the Master Sword.
How that's going to work in this game seems like it's going to be slightly more tricky, because the sages are a thing, and kind of important to the whole concept of this battle. So I'd be interested to see what happens with that. And there's a I assume, because obviously you can still do any of the 4 areas in any order. That's going to be the same as Breath of the Wild. There's nothing to stop you from doing that, really, apart from just inconvenience. But then there is a couple of other things where I'm like, this seems like you might be able to do it in a different order, but I can see why they wouldn't let you. But that's what I want to test. Right. See if the ideas I have of how you could sequence break this are possible, or whether it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, because the one I told you about, or the theory I have behind that, I bet that's very easily solved by it just not being activatable.
Yeah.
If you haven't gone through the whole process.
Because I did, earlier on when I was playing it and I was talking to someone else about it, they sort of sequence breaked a part, except I didn't follow up with them to see whether they could complete the sequence break. They went somewhere that they kind of figured out that they weren't meant to go yet because of a reason. But they could be there, but maybe they couldn't do the thing that they needed to do at the end.
Oh, right. Is this a little bit like, okay, mini spoilers. It's like when you find the puzzle for the first skeleton in the world, I guess, the first beast skeleton, and I did that, and it's like, oh,
right, the quest doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I couldn't, although I did the thing and it did the
yeah.
It's like, oh, actually, and I was then very confused because it's like, okay, nothing has happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been like that, or there just would have been at a certain point a door they couldn't open or something because they weren't meant to be there, because this was one of the places where doors would have worked.
Right.
But yeah, that's one of the things I want to test, that specific area that I'm thinking of, but I'm not going to talk about which specific one it is because that still might be spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, yeah, there's that. That's the theoretical, but maybe not actually end of Tears of the Kingdom for me.
It said you have been online on your Switch for 9 days or something. I was like, what the heck is going on?
Well, that's because I finished it and then I haven't played it this week.
Okay, sure.
I didn't actually take my Switch out of my bag since last week when I was here.
Ooh. You're turning a corner, man. It's good.
Well, it is kind of, it does kind of suck. Because I wanted to play Master Mode.
Yeah.
I was going to use Master Mode to do the sequence breaking tests as well.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe it'll come.
Yeah, I bet it will.
It's odd that it's not just in there from the beginning.
Well, yeah, that's why I thought that, like, the fact once in the 1 week period before they made the announcement about the DLC, I was like, oh, so it doesn't have Master Mode. So obviously DLC must be coming to put Master Mode back in, because they put in everything that was DLC before in Breath of the Wild. They've already put in the game.
Except the Master Cycle. And the horse armor.
Yes, apart from the Sheik attack. But yeah, apparently not. So, disappointing.
This means we're not going to get any other random building materials or components, I suppose. So, like, building is what it is.
I guess. I mean, that could have been a DLC angle, I guess.
Yeah.
Introduce some new components.
Oh, yeah. Because I feel like this game, like, in many respects, like some of the shrines are some of the most interesting things, but I also feel like they never go hard enough with the shrine puzzles, right? And I always feel like, I've just done that, and I've done that very quickly. Can we do a bit more of this, please? Because I just don't. Even now, like 100 and some tens of hours into the game, it's like I'm just not really engaging with the building system all that much.
No.
Like I'm doing building giant robots. I mean, did you do that, Zach? Like in the end, I guess in the depths, you figured out that that's the thing to do, right?
Not really. I was because the trouble with vehicles is just like you can't make them as all terrain as you'd hope. Even in the depths where it's like it's normally quite flat and like the
something always gets cocking stuck.
Yeah, it's just not as convenient as triple haste potion and then just run everywhere.
Oh, side note, because I just said something gets cocking stuck. It's like we drove through a little village called Cocking,
of course,
and it made me laugh.
You didn't get stuck though.
We didn't get stuck there. No, there was a sign for the Cocking Village shop where it's just like, it's like if anyone has a complaint, that's already the best name. Or if they have to go to Cocking Church, of which there was a lovely sign for.
Lovely.
I don't know. It was just funny. We're a great place. Go visit Cocking.
Yeah, I don't think I did use the building. Like, I think I mentioned it before. There's one specific cave which is intentionally designed for you to basically build a tank, and it's like that's cool. And then I was like, oh yeah, I guess you can do this. It's like it shows you the ideas, and you're like, yeah, I could do this anywhere, but like. It's just
I just did like a trial, one of those trial shrines, and it was meant to be the vehicles one.
Right.
And I built the first vehicle out of the game, destroyed everything, and then I realized that there's a bunch of there was a thing in the middle that you were supposed to break into that had a bigger vehicle, and the blast lasers and all kinds of shit on it. And it's like, well, I already solved it.
Yeah, I just drove around and shot some things. It was fine.
Yeah, and it was done. Yeah.
It's like there should have been more places where it was set up to actually use vehicles, I guess.
I mean, maybe that's a sign that, why we're not getting those DLCs, right? That they did use all their ideas up, because it's like the shrines aren't quite as deep as you want them to be.
Yeah,
but then is that just a symptom of the game? Right, is it just a symptom of like we've got all these cool systems that you just want them to keep getting deeper, so are we never satisfied?
Yeah, but I don't think they did go deep enough on the mechanics that they did have. Like we say, they used them once in a shrine, but then maybe didn't even go far enough in that once.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my unfortunate hoarder instinct kicks in this game hard, right? And I just don't, because everything's an expendable resource.
Yeah, but you can.
And I know they're pretty readily available if I go out of my way to go get more.
Well, you don't even have to, though, do you? Because there's a whole secondary system that makes everything infinite, essentially.
To an extent, but kind of. But that's still a currency driven that I would have to go and get more of.
But much easier to find.
Sure. Well, yeah, definitely sure. But I don't know. There's all that whole layer of cool stuff that doesn't feel cheap enough to engage with it. I just don't and you've got to have had the parts in order to use them later. with the currency-driven method.
Well, sure, but
you've got to have built the thing specifically in a specific way to go back to it.
Well, that's the actual problem, is you actually have to stop and do the design. You actually have to think about it. Because once I started getting more of the, Yiga Clan stuff, I was like, I guess I will occasionally pop one of these out. But yeah, the things I used regularly was basically just a rocket platform. When I was in the depths, I was like, I need to go up this cliff. Just put a rocket on a platform and just go straight. I don't even use springs for that, even though that's the much more obvious thing to do.
The floaty platforms, do you mean?
No, just like a regular platform with a rocket on it, and then once it reaches the peak of the gravity, I just jump off. It's like that's good enough.
Do you not put the rocket on the shield? Is that less good? Or
all my shields are already fused to other shields. So I'd have to
just get
go mess with that.
Just get a plate,
and you can't currency build that.
Well, you can.
You'd have to have had.
Oh no, not shields. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not a shield fuse.
Well,
could you build can you make a blueprint of one item?
No, not of one item.
Yeah.
But I was thinking if you dropped a shield on the ground, and then that wouldn't count as an item that you could pick back up after you recreate it, I assume. Because otherwise you can make infinite items and that'd be dumb.
No, and then you can't disconnect from.
Yes, you would be able to unattach it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like at a certain point you have to choose to spend time just making a thing. Which I did do at least once, where I was like, I need to make a better version of this flying machine or a better version of this boat. Like, I spent some time doing that, but not to make anything particularly elaborate.
I mean, the time I've spent sometimes making something a little bit cool, we just have parts lying around most of the time, or an occasional popped spheres. It's just like, well, I went to this effort of making this thing, and it was useful for about 20 seconds, and now I've got to abandon it.
Yeah, that is why that system is slightly less good, even when it's a vehicle. Like, even the vehicles don't last long enough.
I mean, the funniest thing I've done in that game was still catapulting a Korok into oblivion, and that's quite an easy thing to make.
Yeah, I did that as well. I actually did that right at the end of my playthrough. I was just like, I found a Korok, and I was just like, maybe this will be the one where I actually try and build a catapult, and then I threw it off a cliff about a mile down into the sea, and then it's like, I looked around for it for ages because I thought it had gone where it was meant to go, and then I was like,
I wonder if it was the same one I did.
Possibly. Yeah. I was like, where the hell did it end up? And then I looked off the cliff and scoped it, and it's like, oh shit, it's still in the water down there. I'm just going to have to leave and wait for that to respawn, because I'm never going to get it back up from down there.
See, I reckon I must have done that when I fired mine, but I didn't find it in the water. And I was just searching for it for ages, and then it's like, and then eventually turned around, and it's like I could just see the little green plume, and it's like, oh god damn it, he's back there.
Yes, I wish it had respawned. I wish I had thrown it into oblivion and actually respawned, rather than it actually not respawning and ending up where it did.
I mean, it was really satisfying just seeing this poor little Korok go absolutely miles.
That is the trouble with the whole catapults, is like, if you really have to look at where it goes, because otherwise you won't have any goddamn idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're using a catapult, you're probably firing it up somewhere where it's probably going to be a bit difficult to follow, unless you make a little capsule for yourself to get catapulted with him. Well,
I presume you can just stand on the catapult at the same time, because because on that rare occasion when you do actually catapult yourself, the physics all works the same.
Yeah, should do.
Or at least you'll be able to see him if he does accelerate further ahead of you due to air resistance or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, those are probably my personal gripes. I don't know. It's just maybe if you are the Zax, then these systems are fine, and you've got a whole bunch of resources that you're not planning to use for something else.
Well, yes, I did have a whole shit ton of resources. That's for sure.
You did, yeah.
Even after the point where I deliberately stopped collecting certain specific resources, it's just like, I'm still not even expiring these at a rate that makes any difference to how much I've got.
I bet there's caps on most of them as well, right? So it's
just Sean, 9,999, but I didn't get any of that.
I assume most things would stop at 999.
like 8,000, well, like 1,000. But
no, a couple of them definitely go to the full 9,000.
Okay, that's kind of helpful. I haven't played any of that since the last bit you saw me play, to be fair. So
right, how much have you played, Dan? Because we know that you did a bit.
We saw you online. Well, Zach saw you online because you still haven't added me on your friends list, or vice versa. We've never sorted that out.
Oh, really? Oh, send me a friend code or whatever.
I can't remember how this bloody works on Nintendo. I actually have to find an ID, don't I, and send you that ID? Is that how that works?
Or you can be in the same room and do it via the local link.
Oh, right.
Which I think is how me and Dan actually did it. Like, one of the rare times we actually both had our Switch.
Yeah. Because I think it has, like, discover people via your social media, but I don't think we're probably not connected on,
probably.
on that. So I don't think that'll work. Yeah.
But anyway.
Which is...
What did you do, Dan?
Yeah,
how much more did you do?
I did the water temple or whatever today because I had some time this afternoon. So yeah. Oh, there it is.
Success. Friend code has happened.
I think that
do I have to type this into my Switch? Like,
you might be able to do it through the Nintendo Switch Online app, which is how I got that code.
Oh yeah.
You know, that awful thing.
Yeah.
This might be the one time it's useful.
I'll try and connect you.
Live testing of Nintendo's technology.
Yeah, this is probably the smallest one, right? I was I like that's what we talked about earlier. Like, it's the whole run up to the temple.
It's like
the fun part that they put all the effort into in all of these, right? Which is cool. I like that whole quest thing. But like, compared to the fire temple, this was a little disappointing. It was nice looking, but it wasn't exactly Ocarina Water Temple insanity, was it? It's like pretty. It was basically like 2 shrines sized or something.
And also, it didn't really make that much use of the mechanic, like the water blobs.
Of the water.
Even the approach didn't really use them that much.
Yeah.
Or at least it used them in really obvious ways.
Shrines, right?
Mm.
Yeah, that's true. Like reversing them and just floating in them. And
oh man,
I like
there was
the bit
definitely one of those threw me for a while. Like how to divert them in a certain way. That threw me.
Divert. There wasn't that much diverting. There's a bit where
there was one where one seemed to be going completely the wrong. There's a bit where
you have to put a ball in one, which was all right.
Yeah, there was one where one seemed to be going completely the wrong direction. I'm like, how on earth do I get that to go where I need to get? Anyway, that took me a while to figure out. But
yeah,
I feel like those water balls specifically could have been used in some more different ways.
Maybe, yeah.
Like
did some dumb things like, water conducts electricity and stuff like that. And, a few things like that. But it wasn't too much. But I guess for kids or whatever, like you need them to be able to mainline the main quest, right? Is that the idea? And then you can make shrines hard. I don't know. But yeah, it was cool looking, but yeah. And then I liked that the boss was this little guy. That was kind of cool. Like little dickhead who was ruining Sora Kingdom or whatever.
The Muktarok is probably one of my favorite bosses.
Yeah,
in the game.
It was good. That was good. So that was cool.
Well, I think it's okay because I don't like the bit where you have to chase him around.
Yeah,
that's just sort of annoying.
I mean, that's not so bad. I mean, you just get a bow out, put a wing on it, or whatever, or an eyeball.
Yeah,
not eyeball, probably
eyeball.
better.
Yeah. Combing, sort it out.
I mean, it's more annoying when you.
I mean,
fight
but does this mean that? I presume this means that literally every single one of these boss fights involves trying to get to the sage and activate their power. So you're always constantly trying to find them so you can grab their
if you want to
power.
do it that way, yes.
Yeah, you don't have to.
No, you can use like
it's what it's guiding you to do.
Yeah. It's like, where is the guy? Oh, he's despawned.
It's why whenever I was doing those boss fights, you just turn off any other sages. So there's always only going to be one, so at least you don't get confused.
Yeah. Why didn't I think of that? That's so obvious.
I leave the sages turned off most of the time myself.
Oh, really? I leave them all on.
Yeah.
And wait for the horrible mess of like spawning and despawning that they always create.
Oh, right.
Although in fairness, that is sometimes annoying. The worst... Hang on, where are you? You've done Fire Temple, right? So you have Unova, right? And
Yeah, I've got you now.
He's the most annoying one because obviously he's so chunky. Like he chooses to despawn way more often than the others. I've noticed.
Yeah, because he like can't fit in the room or whatever.
Yeah,
especially in
caves. And it's just like, oh, I could really use you here. And you line him up, and it's like you walk towards him, and the moment you reach him, he then despawns, and it's like, oh, you son of a bitch! Like I really want to use you right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that is definitely like probably the worst part. If we were going to talk about bad parts of this game, the activating sage powers is probably the worst.
Yeah, I turned them off. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're super useful, but I haven't. I also had the Pro HUD on, and there was actually a side quest where I didn't really work unless I had the mini map because I had to ascend into something that was basically only marked on the map, and it was like in because it was the bit where you have to. Well, anyway, is this spoiler? No, probably not. I don't know. You have to ascend into a shed. You have to ascend into a shed.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I just had the Pro HUD on. I was like, how the hell am I supposed to find the pointer? And then I was like, oh, yeah.
Well,
it was a mini map.
That would be quite annoying. Yeah.
You could do it using the main map, right? Put a pin on the actual shed and then use that. Because the pin won't
pins without the mini map.
Well, you can pop open the map repeatedly.
Oh, well,
it'd be much worse, but it would be functionally the same.
Yeah, that's how I struggled doing that, so I turned on the thing.
Or, just use your spatial sense. You theoretically could do it just through guesswork.
I know, that's what I was trying to do, but it's like, that's a real warren, that, like, maze underneath the village.
Is it one of those places where there isn't a ceiling clue, or...
I couldn't find one.
I don't remember there being one.
Anyway. I just found a bug. I don't know if it'll disappear, but now that I've cleared the Zora domain scum on the map, it's gone from the map, the yellowy gunk or whatever, right? But when I change zoom levels, it flickers back for a second, for an instant.
Probably is a bug.
Yeah, which seems to be a bug, which is unusual. I haven't seen any bugs yet, so maybe I'll reboot the game and it'll disappear. But anyway,
that probably would help.
Yeah,
I did sort of remember to keep doing that occasionally, just like maybe I'll actually for real close the game this time, just in case.
Yeah, I think I've been doing that naturally.
Yeah,
it's not like you're going to get the infinite blood bug.
Right. Yeah.
Oh no. And I got the quest, but I still haven't done the whole depths, whatever statue business. So I guess that's the next thing.
Yeah, I've not done a lot of that. I should probably go
follow the statues or whatever. I can't remember. What does that give you? The sensor or whatever? I don't know. Anyway, I haven't got any of that stuff.
Yeah, you have to finish that to make Robbie go to the HIYOOOO lab.
Right, he's not in there. Right, yeah. I did go up there, but he's not in there. Yeah, so I've got to do that. So I suppose I'll do that next.
Yeah, I still haven't done all the pad upgrades. There's one of them I still don't have.
Right, but for obvious reasons. Because it's the one that you need to do map completion for.
It's the slight pain in the ass one.
And then I'll probably go up to Akala and check out Tarrytown. Haven't been up there yet. So that's probably my next destination.
Good.
Do you think you're going to finish it before the end of the year, so we can talk about the boss spoilers?
Yeah, if I get some Sunday afternoons, I'll be able to. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all 4 temples down at this point. Have the Master Sword. Could go and just do it, I suppose. Nothing really stopping me. Apart from,
well, nothing is ever really stopping you technically in that game.
There's one. I mean, I've now got the whole map at least on the surface, and there's one area I really just haven't spent any time in.
Right. Yeah.
And I probably want to go back to the very first area I explored, which was Hebra. Probably should do that a bit more. Like a bit like you, I guess. You did Hebra first, right, and then didn't go back to it.
Yeah, I didn't actually do the whole back half of Hebra until much later.
Yeah, and I got a whole bunch of depths that I've just never done. But then I don't know. I seem to have an okay time in the depths when I'm there when I start doing that. But like I don't know if I want to do that all the time because it's just always that same music. Yes, it's just always that same look.
There's not really much to it.
It's not a super interesting place to be, but it is massive.
I covered much more of the depths once I was hunting for the weapons, where it's just like I need to visit all those ghost piles, and therefore that would just give me a convenient way to complete more of the depths map as I'm doing that.
I'll have to go.
Not that I wasn't intending to complete it anyway, but
Yeah.
synergize the goals.
I'll go do the questy stuff I know about down there. I'll go finish that for sure.
Yeah.
Although there's still some stuff down there that I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I know it must be a thing, but I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Is that everything you were doing, Zach?
I mean, no, but that's all we need to talk about, really.
Oh yeah, because we've geez.
Yep. Also because time. Dan, you played at least 2 other games. At least a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
So talk about them a little bit.
Have we got time?
Well, I mean, how much do you want to say about Undertale and Disco Elysium?
Oh,
Elysium.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm enjoying playing them.
Yes, I didn't imagine that you would have much more to say after playing them a bit more.
Right. Is Disco holding up after we? I guess we're shooting.
Yeah, totally.
I guess you carried on from where we left off.
No, I restarted it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Less stupidly.
Yeah.
Or do it in a different way.
I was trying to go for do a slightly different way. I think you have to play it in several ways to get the most out of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a boring run, I guess, of like not being a total idiot in some places.
Being a normal person.
Well, the thing is, you can't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to play the role because you're not a normal person.
No.
Like you're pretty fucked up, basically. But I've got the skill, like the Inland Empire one, which is like basically I looked it up and like it's called Inland Empire as a reference to the David Lynch film, and it's basically the David Lynch skill. It's the like waking dreams kind of like understanding like the batter of the universe kind of skill, which is cool. Yeah, so I dump points into David Lynch mode. So yeah, that's the mode I'm playing it in. But yeah,
Disco Elysium.
It's just Elysium, indeed. Man, it's just a lot in that game. So I'm making my way through. Because it has this system where you think about things.
Yeah.
You have to click a button that's like internalize. You think about an idea for a while and you kind of mull it over and then you gain powers out of that. But like what I'm not sure is like there's a guy with really horrible like basically eugenics style ideas on race.
Right.
I'm thinking about his horrible ideas in order to like talk to him and get convince him, but I don't want to like actually internalize those ideas and have them change my character.
Right.
So I don't know how to so it's like how do I learn about all the racist stuff without turning racist? I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I will see how that one pans out. I might have accidentally turned myself racist by thinking about it too much. We'll see. I mean, I'm still hungover for sure. So I don't know if that helps.
I seem to remember that's like the key fun. Well, I say fun, but like you have to think about it just enough, right? That it doesn't take root.
Yeah,
is that there's some point
because
where
it can start. Because I've definitely got character traits that will make me like lose my mind if I'm not careful or whatever. So I have to be defending against that. Because I'm talking, the tie that you get off that's spinning around at the start. I got the tie down and put it on, and it talks to me.
Great,
because that's what it's. I also just got a quest to sing karaoke. So
excellent.
This is my kind of game. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty good. All right. It's not really like anything else I've ever played, really.
Yeah, because it is kind of like under the hood. It's a little CRPG. It's just got a new and interesting set dressing. Yeah.
It's just good writing and a lot of choice and a lot packed into it. Because I don't think, I haven't got much further than the opening area, but I don't think it is a big game in terms of areas. I don't think
get that impression.
No. but it's just a million ways that you can go through the core mystery thing and cover what's going on in the world.
Whatever that start sequence
exactly.
was.
Yeah.
And I have a lovely pile of nothingness coming right up, sir.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. I just want to get my partner to trust me, basically. I'm not sure if I can. What did I do that was stupid? Oh, yeah. I interrupted two old men playing pétanque, and I followed the prompts to like just get straight involved in the game without talking to them, like pick up the ball and just throw. But for some reason, my character shot putted it into the sea, and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Anyway, yeah, it's a game.
Is that sometimes a problem? Where is it like you pick one thing?
You pick a thing that you think means something.
Not that much. Generally, I haven't done things I didn't intend to do because I clicked the wrong thing. Sometimes you get a little bit railroaded into options that like none of them are good, or none of them.
It's not like like Mass Effect's accidental push guy out a window or whatever.
Well,
semi-accidental.
That was an interrupt. That one's justified. That guy's a dick, isn't he? Definitely push him out the window. Yeah. He's asking for it, that guy in Mass Effect. Oh. He almost literally asked for it, because you threaten him.
That one's not so much of a problem. It's when the text prompt on screen doesn't match what you then say after you select it. Those are the actual problem ones.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in well, no, it doesn't happen in Disco. Yeah. So yeah. Playing that. Yeah, and then Undertale, subvert your expectations, the game, right?
Yep, ideally.
So yeah,
unless you've accidentally been spoiled about everything about Undertale before you've played it, which is very easy to do because it's the internet.
Which is easy to do, yeah.
Pacifism run,
but yeah,
or charm run, or whatever they're called. Like,
yeah, I guess
or just play it normally.
I just run away from most of the guys. I don't fight their enemies, but I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to. But they don't seem to be.
I think you do.
Well, I mean, that's why you have a pacifism run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're giving no reason to punch them, so I'm sure at some point somebody will. And also, I don't trust that I actually am powerful enough to fight some of these guys or whatever. So yeah, playing that.
You've been Toby Foxed.
Not yet, maybe.
Yeah, maybe later.
Yeah. Anyway, what about you?
Oh, God.
You don't have enough time to talk about...
No, not really.
Stuff.
I've been pondering... Well, there's only two other things to add to the list of things I've been playing, I suppose. I won't talk about anything else. I quickly played Virtua Racing on the Switch because it was cheap.
Okay.
It's a good version of that arcade game. I think it's the only version you can get that runs at 1080 60. So the Switch version, it's quite a good way if you want to go and play some old... Like, the first... polygonal racing. Well, no, probably not the first polygonal racing game Sega made. I'm going to stop short of claiming that, but it's Model 1 arcade board. No textures for you, boy. It's a slightly odd game. It's a slightly odd handling game, but it's like I like that aesthetic. That no texture aesthetic is kind of cool. But yeah, that's what that's about. It's kind of neat. What I really wanted to talk about, and I'm going to try and find a way to make this as concise as possible, but I am going to struggle, so help me here, is Bomb Rush Cyberfunk.
Oh, right, yeah, I forgot that. Kind of important shit.
That came out.
I thought you were waiting for something.
Well, no, I was waiting for the Xbox release.
Right.
And that happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty quickly.
Okay.
Because the Switch version was like 30 FPS capped or something, and I could have gone into PC immediately, but no, I wanted to play it on my TV and listen to that banging soundtrack.
So okay, considering the time problem in this situation, have you finished it already?
No.
Okay, so there will be other things.
There will be more
about.
opportunity to talk about it. I do want to just try and convey my impressions thus far, because I don't think it's super long. Is the impression I've got. I
mean, that sort of makes sense.
I reckon I'm about either 50 to 60% of the way through its progression. Is my guess. I think they've managed to achieve 80 to 90% of a Jet Set Radio. But that last...
What does that mean?
Yeah, so this is...
I've been. The best way to try and articulate this is to first start with how poorly I think reviews articulate this. And I'm probably going to fall into this trap as well, because I was a little bit surprised by the game scoring 7s before I even played it. Right, I was a little bit like, but the Jet Set Radio community seemed to be out in force in favor of this thing. Like, what happened? Why is this not scoring a little bit higher than that? This is the game people have been waiting for, right? And it's like, I've played it and I get it. I get why I understand that it is that sort of score. It is a 7, swimming in 7s game. But I don't think the reviews really do a very good job at all of explaining that, because the ones I've read have all felt positive, and like
it's getting a lot more 8s now. By the way,
is it? Is it picking up? Okay, interesting. Yeah. So, well, anyway, the reviews I read before, I read these before it came out, and it was before the Xbox version came out, and after the Switch and PC version had been in people's hands. So maybe like they were playing the Switch version and the performance degradation was a problem for them, although I'm really not sure how that's a problem. Anyway, it was they read positive and then said is a 7, and I was a bit confused by that. And now I've had my hands on it. I think I kind of get it, and I'm going to boil it down to the core concept of flair. And because I don't really think there's a huge amount of problems with how the game handles. It's a little more. If you're familiar with Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future, it is going for that, but it's a little more what's the word I'm looking for? Like lenient. With like you've got more air control. It's a little less stiff than those games were. You can the jumps feel more modern, I guess, and less floaty. But you also have like your key addition to your arsenal is this boost jump you can do, which doesn't give you any extra height, but it gives you an extra push forwards or in any direction you push the stick at any time, which means you can do some really weird stuff, like go around the outside of billboards. Like, there'll be a square pole and you can jump off one wall run and then boost jump back into the wall on the other side and do some really weird stuff. And you're going to need to do some of that to get to places. And I actually don't think that's very super successful. I actually think like doing those outside of thing jumps just looks and feels weird. Like that doesn't quite work for me. But I also don't think like they add a manual as well. So like that's your way of keeping combos going in sections, because it's like you actually want to be able to chain certain sections of level together that don't necessarily have a flow to them. So you hold down right trigger and go into a manual for a while, right? Which has a cooldown timer, and then you can do tricks that eat into your boost bar to keep that manual going for longer. It's little things like that. They've made that's their way of shaking up the formula a little bit, and they do kind of make the occasional moment where combo scores matter. So, and they have a system for that. So there's like, you score points for doing tricks, but you get a multiplier by going around a hard turn, leaning into a turn on a grind, or every time you hit a wall run, it adds to the multiplier. But in order to keep that combo super large, you can only do that on a unique corner. So if you've already hard turned a corner, you can't go back to that same, just do loops basically, because you won't get your multiplier up just going around the same bit over and over. You've got to do a unique corner, which encourages you to try and find these epic long flows of trick and just keep them going over as much of the level as you can, which is kind of cool. Like, I kind of like that. And they actually play into that a little bit by one of the probably my favorite thing in the game is there's these little dudes who have like their hand out, like these little statues that are like doing a high five, and you've got to try and get all of them in a combo. Right. And then that unlocks like a little unlock somewhere in the level as well. And I think finding those flows and finding those routes and trying to chain that together in one go is super fun. That's really great. More of that, please. But to come back to my original point, I think like all of that is fine. The soundtrack is great as well. Like, it's different from JSRF, which makes it's more modern, a bit more electronic. I guess if you've played Lethal League, you kind of know what to expect. It's that kind of feel, which makes the Naganuma tracks stand out like a sore thumb. They're great
because he did them in the old school style.
Yeah, he's done them as Naganuma does. Okay. So like when they come up, it's just like, oh, I don't know that fits anymore, which is weird. Like, yeah, but it's just that extra 20%, that 90%. Like, I don't know, like It's the little things. There's no sound when the game loads, right? So you don't have that cool radio transition that JSRF has. And there's like, and then boom, you're in the level and you're off. It's like, it's not that. It's a silent loading pause. There's no Professor K. There's no right. or any equivalent of that. So all the story is just things you read. There's no, and because there's no Professor K, and because they're not leaning into the radio thing, which I guess isn't a thing now, right? Or is a different thing. Like you don't get that, like even in the mixes of the music, which aren't bad, but they're not JSR good, right? The way the music transitions into each other and things like that. They've got those mixtapes, they call them, but they're not as flamboyant, or they don't have those like JSR transitions between them. Or if you're given a goal for an area, when you complete that goal, you don't get that cutaway where your guy does a dance and it goes like, yeah, the screen or anything like that. And you get none of that. Like, and it's just, that's the 10 to 20% that's missing. But I think that 10 to 20% really matters.
Right.
As a result of those things missing, it just doesn't elicit the same joy that I get from JSRF. Like that same I'm overwhelmed by how cool this is. It's still cool. It's just not gut punching me with it. Like, you know, I don't feel it as hard. So I think they understand the concept of love, but they just can't live out their romantic dreams.
They can't quite feel it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they understand the concept, but they need to feel it.
Exactly. I don't think it's as successful as making me believe they could. The actual game isn't as successful as me believing they could do it as Lethal League Blaze made me feel that as confident as I was in Team Reptile. Right. There's something about Lethal League Blaze where you play that game and you're like, hell yeah, they could pull this off. I think Blaze is a little bit like limited on its flair, but it uses it wisely, if you know what I mean. Like the big orange like cutaways when you hit someone and the cool spin that it does, and you see that stuff. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about when I'm talking about flair. It's those moments, those like stand out, like that was rad, or the like invert when the ball's going super fast in that game, and even just the cutaway of it going game at the end of a round, and like as simple as that. Like I know it's stolen directly from Smash Brothers, but that's cool, and it's like those moments, that feel isn't here, and I really need it to be. I'm still having a good time. I'm still again, Rob review. I should make that clear. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
It's just, come on. Right. I need a Jet Set Radio 3. Come on, man. Like, it's so close. It's so close. But like this maybe needed like another year, I guess. Or I don't know. I don't know what it needed. It just needed something. Maybe I'm almost certain budget ran out. And like Team Reptile aren't a big team, right? They've done 2 games.
It was a labor of love, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But there's limits, isn't there, to what you can do?
I have a huge amount of respect for them getting as close as they have done. It is the closest I think anyone has got to what those games are.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get like Bomb Rush Cyberfunk Blaze in like 5 years, and it will be as good as Lethal League Blaze was compared to the original.
Yeah, I mean the leap between those 2 games was not insignificant. And maybe your boy Candyman will turn up. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, as we said, they clearly should have just crossed over those universes from the start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put it in the Lethal League universe.
I mean, it makes the 100% for like if like the skateboardist and the rollerbladist, and I think they are available as DLC on the PC version.
Right.
I think you can bring those characters in if you want, but they should have just made them the characters. That would have been fine. But I guess they're not all about getting all up in that graffiti. They're too into the Blaze, I suppose.
They could
into
have
the
been.
League.
You don't know what the League guys do in their other off time.
Yeah. It's good, but it's not quite it.
It's good. They just need to shut up and learn to eat.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk the soundtrack, like it is that little bit like too. I wouldn't call it one note, but it's not as many notes or as varied as the absolutely wild and outstanding JSRF soundtrack. And it's not even as like inventive as JSR 1. But in some ways, those games are of their time, and it's like, could you even do that now? I don't know.
Probably not. Yeah.
It would have to be some...
It's moldy, mum, isn't it?
I don't give a flying fuck about.
I don't give a flying fuck.
That wasn't even censored. That's the crazy... I don't think they
I mean,
knew
the song is censored, right? Because there's the Vietnam War that's cut out, right? Yeah.
There's definitely some stuff that's not in that version, but like not much.
Yeah.
They didn't cut not much.
No, they left most of it in. Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah.
I
think I've wrapped that up as quick as I
next time.
Yeah, I think I've made that as quick as I can. I hope that's the point. It's all about the flair. It's all about the flair. Yeah. And the reviews have missed that.
Kind of was my
the reviews I've read have missed that, and it's
it's the soul. You've got to get those graffiti souls. Come on.
You can still pick up like graffiti are still tags flying around in the levels. That's still a thing, but they're not like they're not like that cool logo.
You got a graffiti soul.
Man, I was expecting even.
I meant that figuratively.
Yeah. I was expecting the title screen to even just be like the title screen was just like it's just a blank card, like it's a title card, like it's not like JSRF is like its identity is that intro screen, right? That like the concept of love playing and the animation of that logo coming together in its way, and just seeing the dudes skate around like at the especially at the time with like the quality of the Xbox graphics quality, and it was just like we've arrived. Exactly. Like it had that sort of like boom, here you go, here's a game, god damn it. And it's like, this doesn't do that. It doesn't even try to do that. For me,
still, the coolest for me is still the first game menu with humming the bass line inside the...
so good. Inside the
garage. That's inside the garage. Like, they got rid of that for future, and like I like that. That was the best. Just the coolness of that.
I mean, it's a different mix, isn't it? But it's still humming the bass line in JSR.
Yeah, but I mean, in Jet Set Radio Future, you have that big area, of, which is the training ground, and it doesn't have the... Yeah, but it's not as cool as the garage in the first game.
Yeah, and they've done that exact thing here as well. But,
okay, yeah. Yeah. Cool. That's a game which we'll hear more of, and that's also a podcast. So I'm going to wrap it up. We also have videos on YouTube, so check out Happy Salad, our channel on YouTube. There's more of our playthrough of Beyond Good and Evil coming up soon.
Check out my super high fidelity flight stabilizer animation at the end of that video. Make it to the end of that video and you'll be in for a treat. It's the most work I've ever put in. No, it's not. It's hilariously bad.
It's really not. And for more audio podcast goodness, you only have to wait 2 weeks and we'll be back. So we'll catch you then.
Woo!
Goodbye.